Hi there.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. How you doing?
Okay.
How you hanging in there? You're hanging in. Okay, can you
Great.
just give me 1 second so I just make sure everything's done, okay?
No worries.
I just don't want to like forget something here. So,
No, you're good.
how's everything checked? Let me see. I think we're good anyways. I think I'm okay.
Okay, good.
So, yeah. So, so how's it going?
It's just great. I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this one thing on here that right in front of my controls, right in front of everything is this stupid um it says live show thing and it's about I don't know. It covers half of my controls. And
Oh, wow.
we can't get rid of it, so it's so weird.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway.
Shannon's here.
Oh, good. Hi
Hey, Shannon.
Shannon. Hi
Hi,
Annie.
Annie. Jenks.
Yeah. Uh, so Shannon's up.
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing? Or how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Do you guys watch Friends? How are you doing? Joey. Even though those shows were, we know more about the stuff now, I still think it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Dorothy.
Yeah. Annie laughing. We're a bunch of kids, Annie.
You gotta laugh.
Yeah. Hi, Joshua. Just waiting on Tim. I didn't message him, hoping he just, remembers. Oh, there he is, right there. I just saw him come in. I'm just waiting. There he is.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Tim.
Hey guys.
Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Hey
Oh,
Tim.
just oh my goodness. Mm.
Hi, Nat, Mr. Vibes, Nikki, Joseph, and there was one other one that was there, but I think he left. So,
Yeah. If
Steven.
everybody could tap the screen to get us some likes, that would be very much appreciated.
Hi Annie. Hi Joshua Manso. Hi Dorothy. Hi Natalie.
Did you hit record, Alan?
I did, but thank you for reminding me, because that,
Sure.
you guys keeping me reminded, I won't forget, right? So.
Just checking. Is Nick there with you tonight or no?
No, he came up for a couple minutes. He didn't really have to do anything. I just want to be able to, like I told him, I want to be able to do this by myself. So just
Yeah.
asked him a couple questions and, but no, I've set it up myself tonight. He's not really feeling great today, so it's a good thing I can kind of figure it out. So I think he's coming down with something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're becoming your own TI guy now.
Yeah, I'm the TI guy and he's the IT guy. Yeah. I don't know. IT, I guess, is internet technician. What's TI?
You
I
said
don't
TI
know.
at one time by mistake, and we were
Yeah,
laughing.
no, I know that. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out
Oh,
what it would stand for if it was me.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can come up with something.
I know. I was trying to think of it myself, but
Total
oh, I could say
something.
technically idiotic.
Now, oh come on now. Okay, how about a little softer, technically inept.
There
How's
you
that?
go. That's good.
That's
Actually,
me too.
yeah,
I'm in
I'm
that
getting
same
better
boat.
though. Getting
I
better.
have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're getting better too.
I am.
Yeah.
How's
Depending
your
on
wrist,
what.
Tim? Sorry.
Oh, it's getting better. The swelling is almost all gone, so I'm probably gonna go to the get it checked again in a day or so.
Like get it x-rayed or did you have that
Yeah, get
done
like
or
Well, I tried to have that done the first time, but they said the swelling was too bad, which I've never heard before. But hey, I'm just him. So
Mm.
but so yeah, they told me to let it go down some, and then they have to do another X-ray.
Hey, Joseph.
Is it your left wrist or your right wrist?
It's my my left wrist,
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
right-handed.
Well, at least that's good. I mean, I
So
guess.
so you were
Yeah.
holding on to the handlebars with your right hand, and you broke the fall with your phone hand.
Well, I don't know if I explained it, but since there's like construction on the main street, I'm in the bike lane, and the construction cut off the bike lane.
Ah,
So
I
I was
see.
trying to get
Okay.
up onto the sidewalk, and it's dark, and I'm supposed to wear glasses, so that kind of played a factor. But it's dark. I'm going like 25 miles per hour, and I'm thinking, hey, there's a little walkway to get up onto the sidewalk, you know, and so I go for it, and as soon as I get close enough, like a millisecond away from impact, I realize that there's no walkway. It's just a curb. So I fell to the right side. I was going down on the right because that's where the curb was, and my tires just skidded. I fell and just kind of rolled, and my left wrist kind of took most of the impact to protect my face from hitting the ground. But but yeah, so that's the reason why the left hand took most of the damage.
That's a
Well,
bummer.
yeah, but you
Do
got
you
lucky, really. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
yeah? Do you wear a helmet, or will all that hair fit under a helmet?
Not yet. I had a hat on, but man, when I fell, freaking everything was off. My gloves were off. My hat was off. I was like, man, dang, I had a hole in my glove.
You guys
Like,
don't
dude,
have to wear helmets, do you? Even on
no,
motorcycles. We have to.
No,
Motorcycles,
on a
bikes.
motorcycle you do, just not you don't on a
not
bike. But a
Florida.
motorcycle it is you're supposed to by law, yeah.
I think it
I
depends
don't
on
know what the law
it
is where
probably
I'm at
depends
now.
on the state you're in.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's the
you could
same in
wear.
Florida. You can do
I think in Arizona you don't have to wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle,
Okay.
because it's so
that
hot.
is.
That's the
Sorry.
reason they use.
Yeah.
I don't know about
True.
where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
have a
guys.
helmet.
Yeah.
I should wear it.
I'm going to get this started because, videos are fairly long. So I'll get it started. And I mean, it's not going to probably be a really busy night because it's Friday and it seems to be the least busy of our 2 nights. So, but I'll go ahead and get started, okay?
All right.
All right. Oh,
Hello everybody, I'm back with another video.
how about I do that a little bit different than that? How about putting this on? That'll help.
Hello everybody, I'm back with another video finally. This is Uncovering the Scripture Geography Part 2. And this is going to be one that should make it a lot easier for you to see what has happened. The Romans spent 23 years just conquering Sicily. Yet we believe they went through 4 emperors, then the following year a local civil war, and then a foreign civil war, all this occurring within 3 years. Both wars with the temple tax as the central issue, and both temples destroyed by fire. Something is drastically wrong with this picture, and we're going to look at it. Okay, the story we got was 2 temples suffering the same fate, both burned, in 2 separate wars, both dealing with taxes. Okay, on the night of July 19 in 64 AD, a fire broke out among the shops of the Circus Maximus, Rome's mammoth chariot stadium. This was a city of about 2 million, and there was nothing unusual about fires. The sweltering summer heat kindled these fires around Rome on a regular basis, particularly in the slums that covered much of the city. Knowing this, Nero himself was miles away in the cooler coastal town of Antium. Yet this was no ordinary fire. The flames raged for 6 days before coming under control, and the fire reignited and burned for another 3. When the smoke cleared, 10 of Rome's 14 districts were in ruins. The 800-year-old temple of Jupiter Saturn and Atrium Vesti and the hearth of the Vestal Virgins was gone. 2/3 of Rome had been destroyed. That's what PBS tells us. And note that Jupiter in Latin is Yahweh, which is actually Yahweh in English. That's how it's pronounced. I covered all that in my video on Who's Your Real Father, if you want to go back and watch that one. Okay, then we go fast track to the Siege of Jerusalem and what Wiki has to say about it. The siege lasted for about 5 months. It ended in 70 CE or AD on the Trisht of Babe with the burning and destruction of the Second Temple. The Romans then entered and sacked the lower city. The Arch of Titus, celebrating the Roman sack of Jerusalem and the Temple, still stands in Rome. The conquest of the city was complete approximately 8 September 70 AD. Josephus places the siege in the year of Vespasian, which corresponds to 70 of the Common Era. And that's the two accounts we have been given. But we're going to look a little closer at this. This is a little timeline thing that somebody had put together, and I just copied and pasted it. But it kind of gives an overview of what we're looking at. Like around 14 AD, Tiberius was emperor. And during that time, 14 to 16, there's a campaign in Germany on the Rhine. And then in 19, Germanicus is killed in Antioch. 21 to 22 AD, the Praetorian Guard in Rome is concentrated into a single huge barrack called the Praetoria, and which was engineered by their prefect Sagius to make them a political force. So they made this big Praetoria thing in Rome. Tiberius is hanging out at his Grotto Villa in 26 AD, near Naples is where that's at. I'm going to show you that. And the emperor rarely went into the capital. He retired to the Capri Islands off of Italy. So he primarily spent most of his time in those islands in Capri and in Superlongo, which is like a cave thing with springs near Naples. Okay, 26 AD, Saginus is arrested and executed. And that's about the same time we lose Jesus to being crucified. Okay, in 37 AD is the death of Tiberius, and then Caligula becomes emperor, and he's emperor from 37 to 41 AD. Okay, and Caligula launches another campaign against Germany and Britain. Okay, in 41 AD, Caligula's wife and his only child are murdered, and then he is murdered, and then Claudius becomes emperor. And at that point, between 43 and 44 AD, Britain is under the Roman rule. And it's kind of important to pay attention to these dates because it kind of shows a pattern of where they're going and what they're doing. Okay, in 54 to 68, Claudius poisons his wife, Agrippa, and Nero becomes emperor. In 62, we have the earthquake in Pompeii and nearby Vesuvius towns. And then in 64, we have the Great Fire in Rome, according to this timeline, and the persecution of the Christians. In 65 AD, there's a conspiracy against Nero, and Piso is exposed and the plotters. Among them is Seneca and his nephew Lucian, and they're executed. Okay, in 67 AD, Nero is in Greece. And then in 68 AD, with revolts going on in Gaul, Spain, and Africa, as well as among the Praetorian Guard in Rome, Nero flees and commits suicide. So we've lost Nero at this point. And then from 68 to 69 AD, we go through 4 emperors: Galba, Otto, Vitellius, and Vespasian. Okay, and on July the 1st of 69 AD, Vespasian is emperor, but almost 6 months pass before he can eliminate the rivals and enter in Rome. So he's still not in Rome. He's still fighting to get Rome back. Okay, and then in 69 to 79 AD, Vespasian is emperor, initiating the Flavian dynasty. In 70 AD, Titus, the elder son of Vespasian, takes Jerusalem and destroys the temple, we're told. Okay, and then in 79 to 81, Titus in the co-regent since 71, sole ruler after his death of father in 79. Okay, in 79, around August the 24th, there's an eruption of Vesalius, and it buries Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Strabia. And then we have in 80 AD, the Great Fire in Rome. Again, and then 81 to 96, Domitian, the younger son of Vespasian, becomes emperor. Well, what is compacted right there is this little thing thrown in there. I want to make sure I look at it correctly. But it's kind of like 70 AD, thrown in the middle of all this chaos, is Vespasian takes Jerusalem and destroys the temple in Israel. But then we're still doing stuff in Italy. There is something majorly wrong with the two timelines. I mean, they just do not mix. Most accounts give us the four emperors in 69 AD. And this was the period when the Roman Empire went through the Galba, Otto, Vitellius, and Vespasian. And this is like a very tumultuous time. There was suicides, murders, and then finally Nero, on July of 68 AD, the Emperor Nero stood at the villa outside of Rome trying to get the courage to commit suicide. This is how bad it was. He was unable to carry out the deed himself and convinced his secretary to stab him. Previously, he had been declared a public enemy by the Senate, and his tumultuous period of rule was followed by a period of civil war. The first Roman civil war since Mark Antony's death, which was in 30 BC. Following this, during the June of 68 AD and December of 69, then you have this succession of emperors overlapping into 69's accession of Vespasian, who founded the Flavian dynasty. So we went from a Judeo-Claudian dynasty to a Flavian dynasty at that point. Okay, and the social, military, and political upheaval of the period had the empire-wide repercussions, which included an outbreak of revolt in Batavia, which is in Germany. So they had that to deal with. Okay, so now we're being told that in 66, right before all these four emperors and stuff, that the Jews had rebelled against the Roman Empire. And then 4 years later, we're being told that much of Jerusalem's destroyed in the Second Temple. The Arch of Titus is in Rome and built to commemorate Titus's victory in Judah. Okay, depicting a Roman Victoria procession with soldiers carrying the spoils from the temple, including the menorah. According to the inscription on the Colosseum, Emperor Vespasian built the Colosseum with the war spoils, the spoils that he got from the war in 79 AD, and probably some of the spoils from the Second Temple. Well, this just doesn't wash when you start looking at the actual facts. I mean, this is too much going on for one country to go way off in the Middle East and have an identical war to the one they're having in their own country within this short span. And it's really curious that the taxes were at the root of both of these wars, the one in Italy and the one we call Israel today. The first Jewish-Roman war, which started in 66, sometimes called the Great Jewish Revolt, with anti-taxation protest and attacks upon the Roman citizens by the Jews. So the actual war, I think, was going on in Rome, not in the Middle East. Nero in 68 AD was followed by a brief period of Roman civil war. And that's right in the middle of all this. Nero had been content to be guided by his mother, Agrippa. His extravagant empire-wide program of public and private works was funded by a rise in taxes, which was what brought all this on. Now, is it a coincidence that the same year Jerusalem fell in 70 AD that the Roman Emperor Vespasian grants Latin rights to all Spanish communities, towns prosper under the new charters? How could Rome have a civil war and a war in Israel involving the same people at the same time? The year of the four emperors in 69 AD was a period of history in the Roman Empire in which four emperors ruled in succession. The suicide of the Emperor Nero in 68 was followed by this brief period. The first Roman civil war since Mark Antony's death in 30 BC. this is different accounts, but they all pretty much say the same thing, over and over and over, that these two events mirror each other, almost identical. This is an article written on the Great Fire of Rome, which erupted in 64, and the fire started the Aventurine overlooking the Circus Maximus. The Fire of Rome. Tacitus, the main ancient source for information about the fire. He is. When I went looking and searching, he and Josephus are about the only two that write about it. He wrote that countless mansions, residencies, and temples were destroyed. Tacitus and Cassiodoro have both written of extensive damage to Palatine. Okay, now this is writing about the Roman War, and we're looking at Palatine. That's because in the middle of Rome was Palatine Hill, and I believe it is the same Palatine that Josephus writes about, but when they write it over there, it becomes Palestine and a whole nother area. The fire is reported to have burned for over a week and destroyed 3 of the 14 Roman districts. This is a different account, so we have a little bit different take on it. Severely damaged 7 more. Tacitus wrote that the ancient accounts described the fire as an accident, while others claim that it was a plot of Nero. Tacitus is the only surviving source which does not blame Nero for starting the fire. He says he is unsure. Now, Pliny the Elder, Suetonius, and Cassiodoro all wrote that Nero was responsible for the fire. These accounts give several reasons for Nero's alleged arson, like Nero's envy of King Priam and a dislike for the city's ancient construction. Suetonius wrote that Nero started the fire because he wanted the space to build his golden house. The golden house of Domus, Aurora, included lush artificial landscapes with a 30-meter tall statue of himself, the Colossal of Nero. The size of the complex has been debated. Tacitus also wrote that Nero accused the Christians of starting the fire to remove suspicion upon himself. According to this account, many Christians were arrested, brutally executed by being thrown to the beast, crucified, or being burned alive. Centenius and Claudius Dio alleged that Nero sang the Sack of Ilium in a stage costume while the city burned. The popular legend that Nero played the fiddle while Rome burned is at least partially a literary construct of a Flavian propaganda, which looked acquiesced on the abortive Neronian attempt to rewrite the Augustan model of rule. In fact, the first recorded reference bode Ira, the ancestor of most European stringed instruments, was a 9th century by the Persian geographer, and I can't pronounce his name, I'm sorry, Iban, I think, is the first name. According to Tacitus, Nero was in the atrium during the fire. Upon hearing the news of the fire, Nero returned to Rome to organize a relief effort, providing for the removal of bodies and debris, and he paid for it with his own funds. After the fire, Nero opened his palaces to provide shelter for the homeless, arranged for food supplies to be delivered to prevent starvation among the survivors. In the wake of the fire, he made new urban development plans. Houses built after the fire were spaced out, built in brick, and faced by porticos on the wide roads. Nero also built new palace complex known as the Domus Aurelia in the area cleared by the fire. To find necessary funds for the reconstruction, tributes were imposed on the province of the empire. The cost to rebuild Rome was immense, requiring funds the state treasury did not have. Nero devalued the Roman currency. For the first time in the emperor's history, he reduced the weight of the denarius from 84 per Roman pound to 96. So there we have the same coinage we have in the New Testament, the denarius. All this starts coming together when you really look at it real carefully. We have an interesting scenario when you look at the earliest manuscripts that comes into play when you're reading the historical accounts. We have Roman Emperor Claudius. He reigned from 41 to 54 AD. And he mentions that a Christus was he places him in Rome in 49 AD. Well, that would conflict with what we have, in most of our scriptures, because we have him, already dead and resurrected by that point. But it is plausible when you look at the earliest manuscripts, because there were actually two people named Jesus. In Matthew 27:16 through 17 reads, "At that time they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. So after they had gathered, Pilate said to them, 'Who do you want me to release for you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?'" Now you have to look at Barabbas really means son of the Father in Arabic. So there were actually two Jesus in front of Pilate. And Suetonius, in the Roman historian, gives the account that there was one Christo who's mentioned, and it's also mentioned in the Acts of the Apostles 18:2. So this is something to consider. Historians have debated whether or not the Roman government distinguished between Christians and Jews prior to the modification of the Ficus Judicaeus in 96 AD also, which was a practicing tax that the Jews paid and the Christians didn't have to pay it. And that happened way past this in 96 AD. So we have a lot of things to look at when you're looking at this scenario. It's not as cut and dried as what we've been told. I hope all this is making sense. It's a lot of information and a lot of research, and I know I'm reading fast, but I got a lot of slides to go through. Then we have things like this. Then you come across when you're studying the Greek in the actual New Testament. This is when there were John 6:10, and Jesus said, "Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000 is what we have in English, okay?" And I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is the site on the left that Israel says this happened. There's no grass, it's just a bald desert area. Okay, this is the site the Greek is actually telling us on the right that this happened. And nobody in their right mind would believe me until you see this entire video. But this is where I believe, and I don't think it was 5,000. I think it was 1,000 in Pompeii, not 5,000. And I'll show you why here in a second. Okay, when we look at the word that was used, let me get the little pointer on so y'all can see. Right here, this word at the back, Cheoli, that is 1,000, and Pentecost is actually Pompeii. And it means 5 times in English, but it's also the word for Pompeii. Now, if it had been 5,000, if you look at John 4:18, you can see it would have been Pente, not this word here. This was specific for Pompeii in Latin. So I believe they were actually in Pompeii on the grass. And you'll see this in just a minute when you see how much stuff is in Pompeii that they have uncovered that is literally Jewish. It's totally mind-blowing. Now, I'm not going through every little bitty thing on these slides. If you want to pause them and read every line, that's fine, but I'll never get through. It's like 95 slides if I do that. But you can see here again, it's an Oscan word, which is a Latin word, and it means Pompeii. So I think that was the 1,000 in Pompeii that he was talking to. And here I went through, and when you actually throw it into a Greek translator, you get that word instead of 5,000. I wanted to just see what would come up when I put it in there, Okay, now, and if Jesus was Jewish, why does he have a Latin Spanish name? That has always thrown me for a loop, because his literal name is Latin and Spanish, and it's not Middle Eastern name at all, and it was very common in the 1st century in Spain. Okay, here's another interesting thing. I think I showed this in the last one, but I'm going to review this because this is important. Okay, Finney the Elder, in his work, The Natural Histories, Book 5, wrote that Greater Judea, or the province of Judea, incorporates Samaria and Idumea, okay, into an expanded territory. And when you look at the word Idumea, that means Edomite. And Edom, right here, and Rome are the exact same word in Hebrew. So when you say an Idumean, you're actually saying an Edomite or a Roman. And a lot of times this word Syria that he used is actually Syria, not Syria. And this is kind of blurry, but there are several places that are labeled. There's one here and one up here, are both considered Syria or Syria, Italy. So I think a lot of this has to do with changing of languages and mistranslations when it comes down to it. And plus some kind of weird decision to move where everything was. Okay, and we have to ask ourselves, why is the oldest synagogue in Italy and not in Israel? And there's no mistaking that the Ostia Synagogue is an ancient synagogue located in ancient Ostia, the seaport of the Imperial Rome. It's one of the oldest synagogues in the world. And it's the oldest synagogue in Europe and the oldest mainstream Jewish synagogue yet uncovered outside of Israel. Now, I'm going to show there's older ones. This is going by what Wikipedia says, but actually Pompeii is older, and there is signs of synagogues even older in Sicily and southern Italy. So this one goes back to the 1st century, and this synagogue was continued in use until the 5th century. But you can see these things are massive. You can't hide this. There's menorahs on the details of the columns, and this is big proof, not little proof. This is Ostia Synagogue in Italy. This is one of the menorahs. And it shows also like a shofar and some other instruments here, looks like ritual instruments. And this one is located in the seaport of Imperial Rome. And here is one. This is the actual temple area, and this building dates all the way back to the 1st century. As documented in initial excavation, in successive site studies, modifications were made to the complex over time. The late century, early century marble effigies in Latin and Greek, one by Medius Faustius for the emperor's well-being, commemorated the donation of the Ark for the Sacred Law. So they had the Ark for the Sacred Law. Now, what does that tell you? Dr. Marian Forini, I can't pronounce her last name, Squacapio, I think, the archaeological superintendent of Ostia in charge of the original synagogue excavation, believes that this commemorative stone, which was found face down, was used to repair the floor of the inner part of the synagogue. So they're saying it was just placed there to repair the floor. I don't buy it. The rents of the late ancient synagogue complex include 4-stepped podium supporting a small tabernacle in the form of an auspicious niche in the columns, situated in the main hall near the entrance, and it was meant to hold the Torah Ark. So this thing was meant to hold a Torah Ark. The columns were 2 sections of architrave, which extended from the back wall, probably supported by the pediment bridging, and the front of the, I wish my pronunciation was better, Attica, featured the decorations of the synagogue carved in relief on the interior short ends of the archive in low relief. Okay, this wasn't discovered until the early 1960s. And they're probably freaking out that all this stuff is becoming uncovered because it's telling the truth. It's like the prophets say the stones will cry out from the wall. Well, in this video, they do. I'm not going to read this last paragraph. If y'all want to read it, you're welcome to. Okay, this is actually what is on the Ostia Synagogue. For the health of the emperor, Medius Faustus, with his household, constructed the synagogue and built and produced from his own gifts, and he dedicated the ark for the sacred law. So, why has no scholar said that the ark was dedicated by the emperors as the sacred law for Italy, by the emperor? Doesn't make sense, does it? And this was in 50 AD. Here's another picture of the Ostia. Does this look like a perfect place for somebody to read scriptures to a crowd? It does to me. Here's some more. This is from the Villa Torlinia, the Jewish catacombs in Rome. These are ancient, and these have been sealed for years and years and years. Nobody allowed to go down there. But you can see all the Jewish icon stuff up there. And the little place for the ark, like a part of a temple in the middle. And even got the eye and the triangle at the top here. Here's another interior. This is one of the chambers. And you can see the menorahs on the wall. It's very interesting. Here's another one that's real old. This one is actually 2,000 years old. This is the Vigna Radali in Italy. And these were some of the other ones that were closed also. Catacombs under the cemeteries are quite common in the area via Alpia. The very word catacomb derives from the Latin expression catacumbas, to the caves. So these are like, and these look like tombs to me with these shelves in them. I think the Jewish people are Romans, not people from the Middle East. An inscription from the Villa Tortia Jewish catacomb. The inscription found indicate that there were at least 12 synagogue congregations distinguished by sometimes overlapping factors such as the neighborhood and geographic origin of the congregants. At times, the congregations were even centered around a single profession. From the inscriptions, we learn that Jews had many different occupations, from butchers to medical practitioners. And you see the little menorahs and the shofars and the candles and stuff. And most of them are written in Greek. So why is Rome full of Jewish archaeology? The detailed inscription marks the burial of a 4-year-old Nathan Marosa, containing a menorah, a shofar, a luva, and an etrog. It is interesting to see that all the inscriptions are in Latin or Greek. There's no Hebrew. Why are these symbols in Jewish cemeteries remain a mystery, says one of the scholars, Jessica Della Russo, from the International Catacomb Society, in the Skype conversation with the Times. I can't tell you what these people believed in. She doesn't know what they believed in, but they got menorahs all over everything. Aside from the menorah chamber, there are 3 other chambers that do not bear any significant Jewish sign, says De La Russa. The paintings are interestingly neutral. They feature most genetic kind of Roman sentiment connected to paradise, flowers, birds, goddess of fortune, Tika, and they are symbols which everyone used in that time, and I couldn't tell you what these people believed in. Now, can you believe that? She can't tell you what they believed in with these symbols on there. It's pretty funny to me. Habakkuk 2:11. For the stone will cry out from the wall, and the beam from the woodwork respond. How true this is. Judah and Judas are both the same word in both Hebrew and Greek. Okay, this small rectangular stone closed the tomb of an infant in the Jewish catacombs of Monteverdi, and that's in Italy. The baby who died at the age of just 7 months was called, what? Judah or Judas? This represents one of the many cases of the documented use of Semitic names. So there are multiple cases of this happening, transliterated by the Greek characters, by members of the ancient Jewish community of Chesaver, as may be seen also in Hosea, Aster, Sabbaticus, Maria, and so on. The name itself is a first-line formula. Here lies at the end of the inscription are contained in small frames. These are surrounded by the classical repertoire of Jewish liturgical emblems, with stylized representations of 7 branches of candelabra or menorahs, and acronyms for oil and loofah, the palm branch, and the myrtle and the willow, typical of the feast of Sukkot. Alongside of these are 3 birds and the symbols of uncertain meaning engraved immediately before the name of the deceased. So, what do we have in Zechariah 1:10? So the man who was standing among the myrtle trees answered, "These are whom Yahuwah has sent to patrol the earth." And why do we have graves with all these Jewish symbols on them, and myrtle trees and stuff, and willows, in Italy instead of the Middle East? Here's another one, and this one's very, very interesting because this is in Villanosa, Italy, and it says there's a shofar depicted as an old burial plaque from a Jewish catacomb in Italy, along with other ritual objects once used in Jerusalem temple, including the 7-branch lampstand or the menorah, and the palm branch, and the bundle used for Sukkot on the following of Yom Kippur. The Italian inscription on the plaque states, "Here lies Phase the Jew," while the Hebrew reads, "Peace." These symbols express relief in a national redemption and the hope for rebuilding the temple. So here's a burial in Italy, and they're hoping for the rebuilding of the temple. And I would question this date. They have it dated to 4th to 5th century CE, but I'm not so sure. I mean, I studied art history and all, and I'm not doing date and carbon and stuff on this stuff, but I'm looking at the dates they have, and to me this looks older than that. It looks a lot like the others from at least the 1st century that we just looked at. This is why I say that. This is a synagogue in Bova Maria, Italy, dated from the 4th century BCE. And what do we see here? We see menorahs on the floor in the mosaics. We see menorahs on the oil candles, and we see Jewish mosaics on the floor. The discovery was made in 1983. The remains of a synagogue complex in Bolivar, Maria, proved a turning point in the research of the Jewish presence in Calabara. It was originally dated between the 4th and 5th centuries AD, but further evidence puts it to the 3rd and 4th century BC. So we're looking at something much older than anything we see in Israel at all. And this is where it's located on Italy, right down here on the tip of the boot of the shoe. Gosh, I hope I don't sound angry, because the more I have looked at this, the more irritated I've gotten because of the lies we got and the stories we've been told. And by the time you watch all 6 videos, you will understand why I'm so irritated, because I have probably at this point 700 slides proving this. I mean, it's just unreal. Okay, this is the actual temple in Pompeii, and it was dedicated to Jupiter or Yahweh or Yehovah, however you want to pronounce it. This is the statue, and this is the pronunciation. Here it is sounded out. If you want to, and you can go look this up. I'm not telling you anything you can't look up online. It's also considered Zeus. Yahweh is hypothetical linguistic reconstruction of the pronunciation, and Yehovah is and it would actually be I-O-V-E in English, because back then there was no J. So most of the stuff have, and the correct Latin form would be I-O-P-A-T-E-R is how it comes out. It comes out, which is combined to form Jupiter. And that's how the Latin is combined. It's I-O-U, and it's combined with the word Father, and it becomes Jupiter. And this actually also could be Jupiter. And this is the actual temple construction. And as you can see from here, from this one in that they saved in Jerusalem, the similarities is uncanny. I mean, it's identical. And they even call this a basilica, part of it. Let's see, that'll be part B right here. This part would be the basilica. This is the main temple with the altar room and all that matching this right here. And this dates to 6th century BC. And here's a statue of Jupiter right here on the left. And this is in Pompeii, Italy. Not Jerusalem, not Israel, that we know what we call Israel today. Okay, here I lined them up side by side. This is the supposed Herod's temple, what it looked like. And here is your Yahweh temple in Pompeii. And this is the temple. Not one supposed in the Middle East, but this is the real temple. Okay, here we have dated, this is 2nd century BC, and you see Neptune with the pitchfork and all the ocean fish stuff. Now what do we see here in the Jewish catacombs? We see the Neptune pitchfork and the menorah in the middle. Neptune was the god of fresh water and sea, the Roman religion. He is the counterpart to the Greek god Poseidon. Neptune was the brother of who? Jupiter / Yahweh and Pluto. And I know this is going to fly in the face of a lot of people, and I just beg you to go back and watch my thing on who your real father is, because we've been told a lot of lies. But you can see this is 2nd century BC in Italy. And we got the menorahs. Yahweh, aka the Tetragrammaton, aka Yahweh, aka Jehovah, as erupted with the rooster head and the snake legs during the Maccabean period. This is Yahweh during the Maccabean period. That's what they saw him as, 3rd century AD. Here's a gem with it on there. Here's another one. This one's 2nd to 3rd AD. And this was found in the Mediterranean. And there's his name down here at the bottom in Greek. And here I included this. I think I got it in that other one on Who's Your Father, but I included it in case you want to pause and read it and look at it real carefully, because this is literally, what they're worshiping. Okay, here's another one. This one goes all the way back to the 5th and 6th century, and this one is just across the strait here in Saradine, Sarade, I think is how you say that. My pronunciation of Latin is not very good, guys. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. But all these ancient, this even looks older to me than 5th or 6th century. I could be wrong, but it looks pretty ancient. Okay, here's another one. This is 1st and 2nd century BC, and this one was found in Turkey, which is not far from Italy. Okay, this is really interesting. This is a 100 AD rare ancient Roman stone seal. And what does it have on it? A menorah. And that was actually their seal with one of the Romans. And here's another one, and this one is an ancient glass Roman jar decorated with a menorah, and it dates way back too. You can see the little menorah. It's kind of hard to see on this one, but you can see the little arms on it if you look careful. And what you're going to find if you go looking for the maps is a lot of remakes to fit a narrative. Because this is literally a medieval remake. And it almost stumped me. I was like, okay, is this actually an ancient old map, or is this a revision and a new remake? And I went and researched it, and it actually is a medieval copy of a 4th century. So you have a lot of remakes running around out there. You have to be real careful what you look at when trying to determine maps. I found that to be really, really like right in here would be Egypt, and then they got Mount Sinai right but next to that, and then they've got Jerusalem right here, you know. And this is not on the actual old maps at all. But it looks old, it looks original, and most people would take one glance at it and say, oh, that's old. Yeah, that fits, you know, and go right on and not think a thing about it. Without Father's help, we can't see anything. That's what I've decided. It's like, unless He helps us, we're not going to know the truth. This slide just kind of gives you some timeline that this may have been about this word right here. Let's see. This word right here. That was discovered. Then we have a big clash. And then we have this. I'm not going to read all that off, but it's just something to consider. Look at the dates of when it happened. Now, these people were involved with this. And that makes me suspicious because this word means what? So, just some other things to think about. Okay, we're going to talk about Basilius and Pompeii. Okay, Basilius has a long history and a literary tradition. It was considered a divinity of the genus type at the time of the eruption in 79 AD. It appears under the inscribed name Basilius as a serpent in the decorative frescoes of many of the Laria, or the household shrines is what that word means, that survived from Pompeii. And an inscription from Capua has it down as Ao Basilio, which indicates the worship of the power of Jupiter or Yahweh. And Jupiter Basilius actually means unquenchable. Now, the only two eyewitnesses we have of this account are Finney the Younger and Tacitus. But this word plays big into things when you look at prophecy and all. Like in Jeremiah 52:13, it states that Nebuchadnezzar entered the city and all the houses of Jerusalem burned he with fire. The fire was not quenched, but it went out when the fuel was consumed. Isaiah pronounced doom upon Edom, which is the same word as Rome, saying that the land thereof shall become a burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night or day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. Okay, and the volcanoes go off like Etna goes off constantly. I just put this back down again, that it means in a sense of unquenchable, because it's really interesting in Matthew 3:12, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge the floor and gather his wheat into the garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire, or Basilius fire. So these words are kind of key into this area also. I think the dispersion was from Italy, Pompeii, which has the oldest Jewish artifacts outside of Sicily, and what we call Israel does not contain what Italy did in the way of ancient artifacts at all. In fact, everything that you find in Israel could have been taken there and is a movable item, most of them in your pocket, some of them in a truck, certainly maybe even a semi, but nothing larger than that. But the proof that this whole area right here is the main area is just overwhelming. And then we have John in 7:35 saying, the Jews said to one another, where does this man intend to go, that we will not find him? Does he intend to go among the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? So he would have been a dispersion this way, not from way down here, up there. And we also have Herod was from Idumea. Well, Idumea is the same word as Edom, and it's a word for Rome in Hebrew. Edom was called Mount Seir and Idumea also. 1 Samuel 14:47. So Saul established his sovereignty over Israel and fought against his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the people of Ammon, against Edom, against the kings of Zobat, and against the Philistines. And wherever he turned, he harassed them. Well, if the Jewish rabbis say Edom is Rome, then how the heck are they down here with Edom? There's just something wrong here. And you can go listen to video after video of rabbis telling you Edom is Rome. They clearly state it. I'm not saying anything out of school that they don't say. And then when you look at the word, here's Edom in Hebrew, and here's Rome in Hebrew. I hope I'm being real clear with this, because this has taken a long time to put this together in a way that I can make somebody else understand what I'm seeing. But this is the primary, okay, these people from here went here, 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 and up in here, and here. And they took the African coast. I don't have this recorded in the 1st century. When I looked at the old maps, all I saw down here was Palestine. None of what we have been told was there is not on the original old maps, not a remake, a reconstructed Middle Age map, or a 4th century or 5th century, but an ancient, really 1st century map has nothing here. I don't expect y'all to take my word for it. You can study this out, and look at it. And actually, Pompeii on the wall has carved in the side of the wall. I'm going to show you that slide in a minute. But it has Sodom and Gomorrah literally carved in the rock wall on it. Okay, and this is Genesis 19:30. And Lot went up out of to Zoar, or the insignificant, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Well, this is a cave right near there, called the Cave of the Dogs. There's several caves in that area. And that's right between Pompeii and Naples, right in there. Okay, so I looked for this city, and there's a city that sounds identical right there. And there are caves there. It's Tessar. And then right close to there, there's a grotto of Tiberius. And there's multiple caves up and down all in that area, so he could have been any one of them. But it's weird that name is mentioned, and then the T is silent. And it's almost identical to this word in sound-wise. This is Tiberius's villa with the hot springs in Sperlonga, Italy. And you can see there's just major construction. So was Tiberius if his big hot springs were in Italy, was he in the Middle East, or was he here at his big hot springs? According to Tacitus, he was here, and then he was off on his island and right off the coast. He had grottos with numerous sculptures set along the Italian seashore, hot springs, 3 large swimming pools. 1 is inside and 2 outside, and there's a mineral bath pool, and the other had cold water. And this is from Finney the Elder, the Natural History. It says the River Jordanes, and Jordan is also a Latin word, it's an Italian word, rises from the spring of Peneus, which has given its surname to Caesarea, of which we shall have occasion to speak. This is a delightful stream, and so far the situation locales will allow of winds along and in its course, and lingers and dwellers on its banks. With the greatest reluctance it moves toward the Asphaltes, a lake of gloomy and impious nature, by which it is swallowed up, and it be praised waters are lost sight of the being mingled with the pestilential streams of the lake. For this reason, it is that as soon as ever the valleys through which it runs affords its opportunity, it discharges itself into the lake by means of the riders known as Genesara, 16 miles in its length and 6 wide, and is skirted by peasant towns of Julius and Hippo on the east and Trachea on the south, a name by which many persons give the lake, and of the Tiberias on the west, the hot springs, of which are conducive to the restorative health. So it has to be Tiberias's hot springs here in Italy. This is not, Caesarea is not in the Middle East. I mean, it came out right here by Sperlonga, because his hot springs are in Sperlonga, Italy. And one of the old maps, I'm going to try to make sure I include that, has Caesarea right here close by to Sperlonga. And this is Pania della Croce, a mountain in Tuscany, right outside of there. And it's also called Pania. There's just no mistaking that they just moved everything. And then you have the Tyrian Seacoast. This is all Tyrian Seacoast here. It is on the old maps too.
That's half of it there, guys. So we can keep
I was
going.
wondering, pause or something?
Too.
What was that?
I didn't know if the video stopped or if we're stopping there for tonight, I guess.
Yeah, we're dividing the last 2 videos into 2, like each.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
Because they're like 3-hour videos, right? Or like 2.5 or whatever it is. But yeah, there's a couple of good questions in the panel or in the comment section that we should we should address. Like, Faye, Marie, and Shannon had a little conversation going, and they were Faye was wondering if Shannon could explain something. Do you remember what it is, Shannon, or have you forgotten already?
I haven't forgot. The deal was that Faye had to come up on the panel and talk with us.
Okay, do you want to come up, guys? Come on, it's like being on Discord, guys. It's like being on Discord. It's no big deal.
Yeah, just think of us with our underwear on.
Faye, come on. She's like, no, it's being recorded. She says, I'll sit down here.
Oh, man.
I get it. It's still...
Like, Andy, keep encouraging her, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, she probably would if it was in Discord because it's not being recorded, right? So we don't want to pressure her either, so she'll be running away from us. We don't want that either.
You just want to twist your arm. What
Yeah.
about Josh's question? Because I thought that at least some people in the group believe we were in a little season, right?
Oh yeah, that's what most of us believe.
I
Most
do
of us-
believe one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there, is what we're saying, is what Sally's saying, is there's a lot of people. And actually, I've been in major conversation with a TikTok girl who calls herself the Little Season. But they're all believing in the Christ, and they argue their point, like, no matter what you say, their heels dug in. They don't want to hear anything we say, so.
And just, Joshua, I know if you're still here, just because somebody says that we're in the little season doesn't mean the rest of what they say is truthful. Preterism is not truthful. You know, some things have been fulfilled, some things have not.
Yeah.
So if you're following him, that's why I urge people not to follow somebody who's a false teacher, because they can give you 80, 85, 90% truth, and they give you 10% lies. And they get you on the hook with the truth that they're telling, so that when they do tell you the lie, you're going to believe that too.
Yeah.
So preterism is the belief that everything has been fulfilled. They believe we're in the new heaven and the new earth. The new heaven and the new earth is not our Father. That is Yahweh.
That's right.
You know, our Father's kingdom is not of this world. He is in a different world.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be a millennial reign of Christ here on earth. It will not. That's what Yahweh wants. So
Yeah.
preterism is a lie. So
We have someone up on the panel there, Sally. Joshua?
Yes.
Go ahead, Josh. You have a question?
No, I'm just listening intently. I'll chime in.
Okay.
How'd you find us, Joshua? You said you watched some of our other YouTube.
I don't know how I stumble on. I think you commented on another channel, and you brought up a good point between the Jesus Barabbas and Jesus the Christ, and I've always felt that, and you provided really good research, and I was double checking what you were sharing, and I've been deconstructing a lot of old paradigms for a while, so I bounce back and forth.
It's a lot, isn't it, when you discover this truth?
It is, and a lot of people are scared to challenge themselves and unplug and put on a different lens. It's cognitive dissonance at its best.
I would agree with that. It is, the things that I'm trying to show and teach people, they want to believe what they've been believing and the lie. And I think when you challenge that, at least this is what I found, is when you challenge somebody against it, it's just my perception that they're so afraid they're going to deny Jesus or do something wrong. And then also Yahweh is the one who puts that spirit of fear in us, and so he's given people this spirit of fear to even question their beliefs. He doesn't want us questioning things. He doesn't want us doing this research. He doesn't want us exposing this. So
It is. I think he's led man to, he's given people the game plan to control others and to oppress others. Take something that's beautiful, that's meant to uplift each other and get out of this existence eventually without stepping on each other's neck.
yeah, for sure. He's done a masterful job at it. I have to give him that. He really has,
Yeah.
And we're doing this because we do feel we're at the end. We do feel we're in the little season. We feel that we're at the end, and we want to get this truth out to as many people that will hear it. But people also have to be willing. Everybody that I know that has come to this channel, and we have a Discord channel. Everybody that I know that has gotten to this point had gotten to the point where they were tired of the lies, and they cried out to Father for the truth. Please, Father, reveal the truth to me. I don't care how hard it is. It seems like all of us, got to the point of asking that, and we were led here. And I'm grateful that we have a group now that we're able to do this and try to show as many people as we can.
It's true. It's so true. It's you get ostracized for trying to seek truth. It's sad. I did ask for it as well, and it's definitely not what I expected it to be.
Yeah. No, me either. But here
That's
we
okay.
are,
That's all right, though.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you found us. Thanks for joining us and coming up on the panel.
Thank you for letting me be on there. She went over a lot of amazing things with the geography. There's a gentleman that has another channel, and he covers a lot of the same things, but he basically takes her ideas and he applies it to the Americas over here, where a lot of the landmarks and a lot of the things are over here. I mean, he's talking about Gopherwood and the Garden of Eden and so on and so forth. And basically, I guess the Jordan River and its tributaries, stuff like that, copy and paste to the Mississippi. So like there's been a lot of people kind of looking at those type of questioning geography as well. So I found a very interesting subject that she chose tonight.
Which channel was that?
I think his name is like Pastor Allen. I follow him online. I think it's Pastor Allen, but he dabbles on that. But he's been going on it pretty hard recently. And I like when I flip TikTok, I hear it and I listen to it. I'm receptive to just see what people are sharing.
Yeah.
Joshua, I saw some of that stuff too about how Jerusalem in the middle of it says USA,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
about how there's more pyramids here than in Egypt, and our pyramids are actually like used as like real altars, and it's evident because they have stairs on them, to
Oh
walk
yeah.
up. Uh,
Especially in South America.
yeah, but I was thinking that maybe it's possible because there's all the places that's over there. They're over here too. Like they have the same Memphis, and right next to Memphis, there's a town called this, and it's the same thing over there. And I'm
Yes.
thinking that since these are spirits that's really running this world, really,
Yes.
uh, and they live, of course, far past 90 to 120 years. Um, I'm thinking that maybe they're just setting it up again in different locations whenever I don't know, maybe there's a reset or whatever. But they're just like, okay, now we're gonna set it up over here. We need a Memphis over here. We need a this over there. You see what I'm saying?
100%. It's when she brought up the fires and the temples being burnt down in her presentation. I wrote some notes so I wouldn't forget. I was trying to do some laundry and write notes at the same time. But
Oh, your brother's over here
it's
with you.
funny because of the she brought up the temples getting burned and then burned again, and then the people in charge gave you know set money aside. It's just like the Maui, just like the California fires. It sounds like the land grab from back then. It's like the Shakespeare, like everyone's playing their roles, nothing new under the sun. And it's like it's an old plan that's new to us, but it's
Oh, to them because it works.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly,
you brought up something that I wrote down too, and I just wanted to fit it in here while we're on point.
sure.
Because same thing. And these are like the only two things I wrote down for the presentations. Um, every disaster, like natural disaster, is a huge sacrifice. And then all these burning downs are destroying these buildings and stuff like
Hmm.
the Twin Towers, etc. The Maui fires, like you said, it's
Yeah,
always there to rebuild again. They
it
do that
is.
to rebuild something again, bigger, better, whatever.
Yep.
And uh,
So true.
something I was thinking about is, you know how movies, there'll be a real popular movie from maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, then they'll remake the movie and they'll use the same plot, but they might put it in a different area, use different names, stuff like that. But it's the same story. They just keep rehashing it over and over. And sometimes they'll make a movie with the same title over, three times within a few years, um, because it makes
It's
money
true.
for one thing, and because there's nothing new under the sun. All these scripts are laying around, and they dig them up and they say, hey, what about this one? We did this one back in 1945. Why don't we update it and make it more modern, and we'll put it in this city, and we'll have cars and spaceships this time instead of airplanes and ships and stuff like that.
A
You know,
hundred percent.
when I was doing my research, I found out it could be two, three birds, one stone, honestly. But like when they got Independence Day, and then 10, 20, 30 years later, there's another Independence Day. That's because they're trying to brainwash the generations.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if it's part of
Correct.
of the plan, they need to make sure that generation is programmed and down with the get down. So that's why now they got your daddy and your son in the movie theater. Daddy's getting programmed, and son is getting programmed for the first time, and you know, but they're just conditioning us to accept what's to come or in what already is. You know,
It's true.
and
It's
and they
like Shannon
re-release.
brought up.
Yeah, they re-release movies too, like, oh, it's the so and so anniversary of Star Wars, and they bring it back out to indoctrinate. The parents are definitely going to take their kids. Oh, you got to see what I used to watch in 1978 or whatever. I'm going to take you to go see this, the original, and
yeah.
get
Or you,
them
oh, boy, you don't know nothing about
indoctrinated
no
in it.
Star Wars. No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to fit that in there.
No, that's great. He brings up a point that brought back a nice memory, but a sad memory. I was a school teacher, and my principal called me over the summer and told me one of my students had passed. He had an aneurysm. He's like in fifth grade, and a little boy. He was really kind, and they told stories about him saving another child from drowning. And I remember before that summer, he was so excited to tell me, "Coach, hey, they're coming out with the new Transformers movie. This thing's brand new." I'm like, buddy, that was when I was in fifth grade. Like, what do you mean brand new? But it just
Yeah.
as soon as Shannon brought it up, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
you were a school teacher, were you, Josh?
I did
Yeah.
elementary phys ed for like almost 10 years.
Yeah. And what got you out of that?
Like basically a shift in politics
Like
and like
2020?
I would say earlier, maybe
Okay. Okay.
before that. It started. There was a shift, and like I was always in an affluent schools too, so it would be like bratty kids
Okay.
not taking my no, and then I don't know, it just got worse and worse. I was the minority in that situation because I was one of the few males in that situation, and I was outnumbered, and I didn't have enough patience or like kind of. I would basically, if someone would like tattle on me or say something, I would just basically come, you know what, I don't care, mind your business. And now I'm older, I can handle it. But
Yeah.
as a young guy wanting to just get off work, I didn't care, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your
So
thoughts on schools? I'm sorry.
no,
I
go
just
ahead,
wanted to
Tim.
know,
Go ahead.
do you do you think schools are helping or hurting?
Um, I think it's part, unfortunately, of the indoctrination. It's creating good workers. I mean,
Yeah.
not to be negative, but it's, if you study the history of education and stuff, I mean, originally it wasn't set up for the masses. It was set up to propagate, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, for for the wealthy. It wasn't for the common man. And then they're like, hold up, let's use this as a form of, social reform or whatnot. So
Yeah.
I've seen it change us in my tenure, and I had enough. I'd rather work with like students on an individual level, or people on an individual level, or small groups, who want to be there and who, not forced to be there.
Yeah. Conceptually, it's not a terrible idea, especially for people that don't tragically don't have family. Like a kid that's on his own.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but other than that, I talked to a guy named Dan in my job a lot, and he's like, "What are we gonna do without school?" And I'm like, "That's a new concept. Look at how much we've done without it. We've done
It's,
more without it than
it's
we've
true.
done with it. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?"
For sure. And then, and as basically technology and the economy changes and different demands for different jobs come, these kids are so much more savvy technologically than we are. We're all like decent for our age, I would say, just for the fact we're on here, but like they destroy us because they grew up with it. So like the demand to be in school, it doesn't suit a lot. I mean, my daughter scored a tremendous on the SAT. I mean, just homeschool. I mean, didn't even go to school from like eighth grade on, but she's socially shy, and that has no bearing on what kind of career or life she's going to have. It means nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I try to stay positive.
No, yeah, I was just interested since you are already in the school industry, and I have my, I'm against school. I
Yeah.
don't think it's necessary. I think it actually hurts. You said that
Yeah.
your daughter was shy,
Yeah.
but you know, we call it shy, but maybe that's normal.
I
Maybe
would agree.
people should
I would
be as
agree.
open about themselves like they are, and so I went to school, and the only incident I had in high school was because I don't want to, an LGBTQ member,
Yes.
they went up in front of the classroom and just started uh, twerking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
In class, and you know me, I just ignored it. Of course, just doing my work and stuff.
yeah.
But then they came by and touched my chin on the way to their desk, walking
Right.
behind me. I lost
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, of course. It's like religion. It's like you're forcing your beliefs on someone else. I mean, if it's, you know, it goes on and on. But yeah, it's true. It's you're imposing your belief in someone's life. I've tried to be the good preacher and helper or whatever, and I mean, I've stuck my foot in my mouth so many times trying to do good works and follow what I thought the Holy Spirit was leading me to. So I continually learn. I thank God every day that He wakes me up. That's all I can say. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation.
Oh,
Well, you're the guest. You're allowed to dominate the conversation.
Ah, you guys
So
are sweet.
we appreciate it when somebody new finds us and comes up and talks to us. So we're just enjoying the conversation.
Well,
yeah.
good. When everyone's quiet, I'm like, man, I'm taking over. It's like,
No,
and
no.
and that's the thing too. It's like I feel with when you're with the right people, like you could kind of shine. They appreciate you, and people, it's a psychology thing. People project when people people see in others what they don't like in themselves. We all do it. It's human nature. So like if someone likes what someone's saying, they're like, oh, cool, this guy's awesome. If not, it kind of holds them accountable to them challenging themselves. I see that a lot in different work um, dynamic. Different. I've worked a lot of jobs over my life, and I see that in individuals. Not everyone's going to get along.
And I just wanted to quickly say that I didn't bring that story up to offend anyone. I have no problems with anybody in any group. But I
Same,
only brought it
same.
up to say how it makes you too like I think school kind of makes you too open to like act a certain way. Like maybe he was doing that to be cool. Maybe he was doing that because his friends expected it of him. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It
But
makes you
but
not be
he
your real
overstepped. He
authentic
overstepped your
self.
boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's what I was trying to bring up.
Yeah,
no,
because
it's fine.
yeah, because we're not telling them
Actually,
that we're not telling them that we're judging what they're doing, but you know, if we're not allowed to say anything about anything anymore, which is the way the world is going, then at least, that has to apply to everyone, not, you can't push what you want to push on people just because it's your thing. Like we're not pushing this on people, we're inviting people to come in and hear, and if they don't want to hear, they just click off and go somewhere else, right?
Sure.
So, but if it's in a classroom and they're like Tim said, and they're right in your face, and Tim had just as much right in that classroom setting to not have that happen as I guess the guy had to do his thing, but he doesn't have to put it in someone else's face. So,
Like literally. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
Well, I
it's
went out of my way to ignore it, but then
yeah,
to touch me, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I'm already like averting my eyes. I'm already, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
no,
So
that's crazy. And if you think about it, like people are forced, well, not people, students would be forced to sit and endure that,
mhm,
and then I think kind of the end of my career was when they started doing budget cuts. I started getting bounced around different schools because it was all in seniority. And basically, I didn't see a lot of consequences for like crazy crap like that going on, to be frank with you. Um, I'm not small. I wasn't small then. I was 6'3", 240 then. I'm a lot thinner now. But like it's not like I couldn't like stop two elementary kids from beating each other up. But I remember they had a security guard at my school that was like dwarfed me, and they told me their policy is like if the kid's 5, just call him, don't get involved. I'm like, it's that bad. And then I'd watch the kids fight, and I said, well, what's repercussion? What's the consequence? They, because of like budget and whatnot, they would just like put the kids like in timeout, and they'd be back in my class the next day. No suspensions, no this, no there was no consequences. It's just a numbers game for budget, and it was just a facade of a school. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this.
yeah, yeah.
It was crazy, but anyway,
What,
sorry for the horror
Josh,
story.
what was your journey like to like what is your beliefs and what was your journey like to get where you are?
It's it's kind of crazy. I feel I always have believed in higher power. I prayed my whole life, but I wasn't really a practicing Christian in any form or fashion. And then, I researched all sides, agnosticism, like atheism. I just wanted to see why people chose their paths, right?
Right.
And I had a boss who always tried to introduce me to, Jesus and his teachings and stuff. And then I kind of gave him a chance. And then I decided to overcome, tobacco and alcohol at the time and get in shape and kind of just better myself. And then I really dove into like more of the Christian faith. And then the last year, it's been like, I didn't really like to find a church that I liked per se. So I kind of studied it on my own. And then I looked at with many, many, many lenses, but I didn't really participate as much as I wanted because the same reason, like people click out of groups. So I went through a divorce. My dad's like, why don't you go back to your roots, go back to the Catholic Church, give it a try, sit there. So I'd been attending the last year, and I went with an open mind, and I listen to the word. I try to discern and basically listen for the deeper meaning of all the verses. I go on Saturdays because of my work schedule. And long story short is, it's been good, but I can't unsee the symbology. I can't unhear the mixed messages.
Probably because the Father's trying to tell you something.
He is. He's
You
told
know?
me the whole time. So I've gone there. I've kept an open mind, but now I'm coming full circle where it flirted on Gnosticism. Like, you question anything, like you said, and you're a heretic.
Yeah.
You're a Gnostic. You're a Luciferian. You're upside down.
Well,
It's just like,
they even think we're Gnostic, but we're not Gnostic. We're not Christian. We're not Gnostic. We're none of that stuff. We're followers of Jesus Barabba. That's what we are. We just listen to what he said, and that's it. Like.
That's what I wanted to ask Josh too. What are you? Are you Catholic?
I mean, I've been attending it, but like, I list myself as that, but I'm more what you guys are. I'm a follower of the real Jesus and his teachings.
Yeah.
I kind of felt I found one guy, and he's pretty interesting. He's pretty amazing. He's in the Philippines, but basically he brings up a lot of points you guys bring up, and he's really anti-Paul. He considers Paul
Yeah.
basically
So do we.
the Antichrist.
Well,
And
we
I
don't-
have friends that are like,
Paul and Peter both.
yeah, exactly. So you would get along with them really well. But I believe that in my heart more than anything. I gave him a chance again, just out of respect to my dad. I said, you know what? I'm a student. I'm a humble person. I'm open minded. Let me put on this lens. Let me listen to it. Of course, he says beautiful things. But he painted, as you guys would say, he painted the Christ. He
Yeah.
deified him. He turned him into basically Satan. Bow down before me. It's just so convoluted.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you tell that to a new Christian? It's so confusing.
Yeah. So you do realize that we believe there's two Jesuses, right?
100%.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with you, where I believe Jesus, Son of the Father, is the true Jesus, the one. Oh, I wanted to bring this up, especially to the main lady, Aileen. Eileen is her name.
Lynn, yeah.
Aileen.
He's talking to you right now. That's Lynn.
Oh, so you bring up, Christ and stuff. So sitting, I want to share this with you because I've never seen this brought up anywhere, and I'm giving the sermon like we all are. So I'm looking at all the symbolism. I'm looking at the priest, like their symbol, but like the Cairo. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
The symbol
it's
for the Christ, or
for the
Jesus
Christ, right?
Yeah.
And then you know where that goes, right? But so the priest slipped up and he said, "Oh, we, priests, we call each other the wounded healer." So I was like, "That's kind of beautiful." So I kind of researched it. It's just kind of a Carl Jung thing, but he actually called it the wounded psychiatrist, I believe. Anyway, but the wounded healer goes back to Greek mythology. Shocker. which is a centaur Chiron, and his father was like Saturn or Uranus, and his mother was a nymph named what was her name? Something Lyre. Oh, Phil Lyre is what it's spelled, which is means the love of the instrument, the lyre. But anyway, it goes on, and basically he was immortal. You got to look it up. It's a whole trip. You could do a whole show on it. But basically, just look at the mythology. But he sacrificed himself. His death. He asked to have his immortality taken away because he was kind of wounded and he couldn't cure himself. So he sacrificed himself, kind of Christ-like, so that Prometheus, who was being tortured for giving fire to humans, so he can be redeemed. It's a trip, but it reminded me of everything she said. The
That
Christ and that and Chiron, and it goes in one big circle. I'm like, they must know who they're serving, right?
oh,
You
for sure.
know,
They know what's going. Anyone that's up in
the
in
front.
yeah, they know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. And then I got invited to a Presbyterian church, and I didn't hear any mention of Jesus. All I heard was the Christ the entire time. Because I sit there and I listen. I listen intently, not to listen negatively. I listen with a discerning
Yep,
ear, and that's all they. That's all they push.
they
That's all
do.
they push.
Yeah, and they usually say Christ and
And
not
it's
Jesus.
Correct.
Yeah,
Paul's Christ too, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It is Paul's Christ.
yeah,
And if you look at Paul, just Paul and that name, and one thing the Lord, like God, I don't know how you address the Father.
just Father, the Father.
Well, the one thing the Father has given me is like the ear, and I study etymology a lot, and just in normal conversations, it just pops in my ear, like I can hear words and meanings, and then I research, and I'm not saying I'm right more often than not, but I am. And it's kind of scary because it's like, why am I hearing this now? And it's like, but that's how she brought that up, and it reminded me of the Cairo, and then
Hmm.
Chiron, and then if you look at the star, and then it's just a trip.
Yeah.
But
When you listen to Gullinov's videos here, artist, the one that has done all the research,
Mhm.
and you're hearing how, like, because literally she'll show you on a lot of videos, she'll show you exactly how she got things.
Yeah,
Um,
I get
how,
him in a very, very similar manner.
hmm
I first get him by hearing,
hmm
and then I'll see him, and then in my mind, I'll look at the word on paper, and like I kind of chop it up. I'll chop it up in the part. For
right,
example, like I hear it, and then I say, where did it come from? Because like if you think of the Tower of Babel, um, the way they kind of confuse the language, or the enemy would confuse the language. So like our language is the most slave language anyway. It's just it's a bunch of languages. If you look at the etymology of one of our sentences, it's like 4 or 5 languages.
yeah, that's what artist has found. Like she's found that you'll get like Greek, Latin, French. There's several
Correct.
different, many different
Correct.
languages in there.
It was so funny too because she brought up the Isus means the I am too.
Hmm
And I thought that was really interesting. I stumbled on that too. I'm like, where did they get Jesus? Where did they get Jesus? And I stumbled and I put it through a bunch of different languages on the translate, and I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
And she had found it a long time ago, which once she saw that, I'm like, oh, I like this group.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you
You
do know
have
that,
you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just double checking. So you do know that Yahweh is the devil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I believe that. And then, you bring that up to anyone and they think he's the father,
hmm
yeah, he is the father for the other one.
Yeah,
Um,
he's the father of Jesus Christ.
he is.
He
And he does.
he overshadowed Mary, and everybody thinks that Mary is the real Jesus' mother, and how does overpowering somebody, you know, is that a good thing? And the Father's about nothing but good. So there's so many things, and you can't get people to hear you because they
Well,
just
because they'll justify it. They
yeah
justify the evil in the Old Testament, and they'll justify that Father has this righteous anger and he's coming back, and
Yeah.
you know, this is
They base it, yeah, they backtrack it and they rationalize it so it fits, but it's so confusing. I had this debate with a buddy and I already kind of knew what he's going to say, and I've been practicing kind of getting the point across. To kind of plant a seed is all we can do, and to do it without offending him and just putting him on the defense. So I asked him today, I said, listen, I revisited Paul and I said, I'm not much of a fan still, to be frank with you, buddy. And I told him, I said, hey, according to your salvation, would someone on a deserted island given the 4 gospels alone, nothing written by Paul, would they know Jesus enough and would they find salvation? Yes or no? That's all I want to know, brother. And he pretty much more or less told me no, that, you got to take it all. And, I said, Jesus said he would leave the comforter. I don't remember Paul's name being mentioned.
Exactly.
right.
Talk to him, Josh. Talk to him, Josh. Man, I wish I was there.
Oh, I mean, well, here's the thing. We do it. And he was introduced to me by my mentor. He's kind of like a second dad to me, kind of, sort of like. He has a good heart, but he didn't come to the Father until, the health hit the fan. But, it usually takes something dramatic for us all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like I said, well, one of us is going to find out they're right, and one of us is going to find out they're wrong. Like, I don't even get mad at him. I said, let's agree to disagree. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I think we're all been there. It's the cognitive dissonance. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Josh,
Go
I
ahead.
think they're not choosing it.
yeah. Well, he's not choosing it.
Yeah, to me, that's how I see it. Because as soon as they choose to be on the other side, then they start seeing it.
Yeah, then they have to reconceptualize. It's like an oh shit moment where, like, oh my God, who am I? What do I believe in? And where am I going? And it's literally, you can go through, I've read this, you can go through a psychosis where I think we all have. I mean, I'll admit I have. I'm like, what is reality at this point? Like, I need a timeout.
I heard your dog, Sally.
I didn't hear
But no,
it.
I heard it a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't realize I heard it until she said something, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I did hear that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I still feel I'm dominating
No,
this
you're
conversation.
fine. You're the only one that's been asking up. If you want to talk, this is the time.
Yeah, I
Josh,
just
you have no idea how refreshing it is to have somebody come up and not be going against us. And
Yeah.
I've listened to some of the older YouTube.
the top fives or the
Oh my gosh! Like, some of them, like, I think were literal
attacks.
attack slash NP slash demon slash purposeful trolls. I'm just like, what is going on here? I was like, they have patience of saints. I'm like, I'm not saying that I would have went nuts, but like, as a side guest, I would have been, are you purposely doing that? Because, like, I mean, no one could be that dense.
You have to be omitting me from. Oh, go ahead, Sally.
No, we think that did happen. I mean, I think there are some genuine people who just can't accept, and this truth doesn't resonate with them. But then were others that were intently coming on.
Yeah, and to prejudge is like, could really lose an opportunity to kind of help someone find their new understanding. It takes a while. It really does.
Yeah.
Well, it does, and everybody comes to this truth, and everybody's at a little different stage. Like most all of us have gone down the different rabbit trails. We've had painful past or trauma or just different life experiences, that brought us here. But everybody's in a different spot, And
I agree.
Yeah, when you first learn this truth, I was ready to learn it, so it wasn't that much to me. Like, I accepted it pretty quickly, but at the same time, it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it is. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
I think the evidence shows that some people are not in it for like to seek like they say they are, because Jesus says seek and you'll find. I believe him, you know. And
Hmm.
I see,
Yeah.
I tested that. I really been looking honestly, not with an agenda, you know. And I've
Yes.
been finding, you know. But I think people are here. Like, there's some people that just want to appear as if they're like. I think they're only religious to justify their actions, not to change their ways.
Yeah.
That's true. I think we've all been there. Like you're kind of navigating, they're navigating what they really believe because they don't know. Are they doing right? Are they on the right path for themselves? Do they really believe it? Because a lot of the verses, I'm quite sure we've all lived them. There's more strength in it once you put it like the truth is found in not, not just application. The understanding comes through like the aha moments of like, oh my God, I just lived that verse. It's like you thought you understood it, but and then when you realize you didn't understand it, that's when like, wow, there's a lot of them. There's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
many.
there are.
A lot of us in here, right from being little, couldn't like when we read the Bible, we would read it and just think, how could God do these things, you know? And that sort of stayed with us most of our lives, even when we were trying to accept it through some of the journeys that we went on. We still struggled to accept that the Father would do this. And I think that's the Father keeping that in us, you know, because I think that's part. I think seeing that the Father wouldn't do the like why or how, or how can a loving God do this, like keeping that in you helps you to get to a point where you just go, he wouldn't. I mean, like Tim's like he talks like it's all
Yes.
about logic, like um, logically, if you grow up right, you know when something isn't good, or whatever. And we
It's
kept telling
true.
ourselves, like throughout the journeys that we've been on, oh, that's because the Father just thinks differently, or does, he's right, it's a righteous anger and all the different things. And I mean, I still have conversations with people that like that today, they're defending the poor behavior, you know.
It's true.
Like he
It's
told us
so
that being
true.
good wasn't good enough, and then he's gonna show us how to be good, and then it wasn't even good.
Hmm.
And then he don't even follow his own good. Like he said, don't commit adultery, and then Joseph's wife, he overshadowed her and conceived in her the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
And
it
he did
does
it
make
more than
sense.
once. If you look in the Old Testament, he overshadowed plenty of women
Yeah.
and who were barren, and all of a sudden they had a child.
It's true. He made it happen. He made it happen. Like yeah, with concubines or yeah, Sarah. It's like Hagar and all that. I mean, all of them. It's crazy. It's all propagation to have more followers and more slaves and more trapped souls, I guess, from him, the
Yeah.
enemy. You
Yeah.
know.
In the Old Testament, Samuel, uh, I can't remember his mother's name.
I'm trying to remember. That's a good one.
Um,
I couldn't tell you.
yeah, I used to remember it, but I don't. Anyway, if you read that account, um, Yahweh overshadowed Samuel's mother, and then she got pregnant with Samuel. And if you look in the Bible, I mean, Samael, that's one of the, um, it's a demon.
It's one of the fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we all know with basically the L, all the etymology, like they tell you who it is.
Yeah.
It's it's in the name. I mean, even our existence, which going back to the AI stuff you brought up earlier, Shannon. Um, if you look, we kind of it's kind of weird. It's I don't know if it's a predestination thing or not, but we even our names have like meaning, and it kind of sets us on a path to a degree. It's I don't know. I find that it seems to be anyway.
Yeah, I
No,
don't.
you hit the nail on the head because literally all the names in the Old Testament, and I'm sorry, Lynn,
No, that's okay. Carry on.
uh, the names when they're named their children, they name them off of their nature, their character.
Correct.
So, and then if they're, and even if you go abroad and you go do something, they'll name you off of some of the accomplishments based off of that,
Hmm.
your character. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's all about your character and your nature. That's where names came from. And then, I even wonder about these whole last names things, but because last names come from just like naming, like saying you're the son of
Hmm. The
whatever
bar.
a first name is, the nature of another person. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's all I wanted to bring up because you're absolutely right about that. And then you're onto something too, probably with the whole their names are probably making them be that
Yeah.
as well. Like
It's a role.
Allegiant,
It's a character.
it's
It's
like
a
it flipped.
script. It's
Yeah, like instead of
it's a purpose.
you being named off of your nature, now it's like your name is trying to define your nature now, kind of
Yeah.
like that. You this, and then you start to become kind of like how the experiment when you write on the bag of bread,
Mhm.
that Ilana did, with the Yahweh names and the bad names and the good names, and then the bread molded with the bad names, and with the and they didn't, and it has something to do with the names though. You know,
That's amazing. I just saw like a video on that with the water, and it's like vibrations too. It's undeniable. Like we're in a construct too, where there are laws, and that we're we play through obviously physical laws.
yeah,
Thoughts?
laws of physics.
Yes.
Not only that, but I know exactly what you mean. Dang, because I had a perfect way of explaining it while you were saying it, but I didn't want to interrupt.
No, please do. You can interrupt me anytime. Like I said, I feel like I'm dominating this thing because it's my old teaching mode.
You are
And I
not.
cut Lynn off earlier, so I feel like we are dominating. Go ahead, Sally.
No, I was just gonna say you were not dominating. Again, we're just enjoying. It's great to have the conversation, and to have somebody understand. You truly seem to be on the same page as what we're trying to show, and that's so refreshing.
It's refreshing for me because to me it's like almost like a church. You want to be around someone where you could speak freely, bounce ideas,
Exactly.
and it's part of growth. I mean, there is no growth. We only can learn so much on our own. It's like a little congregation. It's like it's rare. That's all I can say.
That's why I'm so grateful to have found this channel because when I found all this, I did stop going to church.
Yeah.
Because I can't. And one of my friends here, her husband is the pastor, and I literally went and talked to my girlfriend about it, and she said Chris will not even have a conversation with you about this. He wouldn't even entertain a second of your time to discuss it. And I was like, okay. She said, but Sally, you can still come to church. I'm like, no, I'm not going to come to church and worship Yahweh and the Christ. It's not going to happen.
You still
Exactly.
don't get intimidated by us.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then she said, don't forsake the assembly. And I'm like, yeah, that was Paul.
Correct. When they start doubling down on Paulinity, I was like, yo, it's it's a lecture then, unfortunately.
Yep. So, and I mean, I'm still friends with her ish. Like, we're still friendly. Like, I love her husband. Haven't had any communication with him, at all. Even on his birthday, I sent him a really lovely message on his birthday. I wished him, I said, I hope you have a blessed day. Hope Father, gives you all the desires of your hearts today and joy. He didn't respond. He didn't text me back. He didn't say thank you. Nothing. Just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and you shall know them by their fruits.
And he's the pastor, and yet you want me to come to church and listen to you, and you got no fruit.
It's kind of
Well,
like it's kind of like the pastor living behind my house right now, who is taking us. Well, he's not taking us to court, but he's gone to a lawyer over our fence, over a tree in our yard that's leaning up against a fence, according to him. But I mean, my husband went over. He already cut down some of the fence or the tree down for them. Already did a bunch of stuff, and he said to the guy, "I'll meet you halfway." Nope, he goes to a lawyer, him and another one, and tries to bully, and he lied to the lawyer and this and that. But my husband's got it handled. But at the same time, this is a pastor. You know, and
Yeah.
he kept reminding my husband, well, I'm a pastor, you know, I'm a pastor, you know, I don't make very much money. And Paul's like, okay, what does that have to do with it? Like, I don't make much money either, you know.
What about love your neighbor?
Like a
Yeah,
Paul.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're scribes. They're
Yeah,
scribes.
You're
yeah,
trying to strong arm your husband into.
yeah,
They got to answer to that 501c.
Right.
They can't.
They have
They
to propagate that.
Oh, you
Absolutely.
should have
yeah.
brought that up. What
If they
does
started
the
if they
501c
started
know?
preaching the truth, they would lose their 501c status and
Correct.
lose all their tax write-offs and all of that.
Yeah. The
Every
church that I was
preacher.
going to wasn't a 501c3, and about 2 months ago when she's my hairdresser, so I was going to get my hair cut, and she was like, hey, guess what? And I'm like, what? She's like, we became a 501c3. And I was just like, I mean, literally my heart sunk, you
yeah.
know?
They don't know. I don't think that they know. They can't know. They cannot understand.
They
You know.
know. They know.
But I mean, if you're
And
if
if
you're
they don't know,
saying
they
If they
find
don't
out.
know.
right, but if you're saying if you're like I don't know. I just can't imagine if you know unless
They're two of the people that helped wake me up.
yeah, I know. I understand that. But if they know, kind of like what's his name, Israel Anderson there. You know, he was so proud and so happy that he was doing the 501c3, getting basically you get income from it. And yes, he knows, but do all of them know that they're like when they turn 501c3 that you know they have to teach certain things and they can't say
They
certain
know.
things, you know?
They
I
know.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You think
think
And
so.
if they don't know, they'll find out as soon as they
They get a
start
notice.
preaching
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
against what the government
Another thing that tells me
says they
they
can't
know.
preach.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that tells me they know though is like, you know, Dan has a pastor and Nick has a pastor, my two friends, and they'll ask them questions that you know that I be bringing up, and they'll ask the pastors, and one of them don't want to talk at all. He's like I'm not doing this, and I'm like okay, and the other one, it takes him like 2 weeks to respond, and then
Yeah.
he'll respond with a bunch of red herrings and stuff, like never really addressing the core issue. So, and I'm like, man, when I was a kid, not that I looked up to pastors or anything, but you know, don't meet your idols. You know, I thought pastor was a person that was like really zealous, you know, for the truth. That's just what I thought.
But they've been
It's
so
just like,
indoctrinated by the teachings when they go to a cemetery, like we call it cemetery, you know. But when they go there, like I mean, they're so indoctrinated that I mean, they come out just believing that it's true, and they don't even search anymore. I don't think. I think they just go with it, you know. Well, even like we were talking the last live about how when I wanted to be baptized before I knew anything like this, I spoke to the pastor of this church and I told him that I didn't believe anything like the way he did. I just wanted to be baptized so bad, but that I didn't believe anything, that I believed in Yeshua at the time. It was the Hebrew stuff, and you know, and I gave him the whole spiel about it. And he just said, he's a pastor, and he said, oh my gosh, you and I are like twins. He said, I believe all that stuff too, but my wife is Pentecostal, and you know, so I ended up doing the pastoral here. And I'm like, but if you, like to myself thinking, but if you believe, how can you go against what you believe? You know?
That's tough.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just so grateful that I woke up and, you know, come out of that stuff.
Me too. I've not been more free since I stopped going to church.
Yeah.
You know, that same pastor actually sent me a video this morning. He texted me a video of his sermon from Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't watch it.
baby, come back.
It's funny.
They're begging
As soon
you.
as I stopped going to church, they started recording the services. It's really weird.
Okay, that is weird.
It's really strange, and I have not listened to one, and I won't. I mean, I love them as human beings, and I hope they find this truth, and I pray for them. I truly do. but I'm not going to listen to your teachings. You know, that's the thing that bothers me the most.
Yeah.
Not just with them, and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm saying this about, you know, there's so many people on YouTube and Facebook and everything, and you get these false teachers that are exposing other false teachers, and they think that they're teaching truth, and it's like the hypocrisy of it is so much sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
But it's like Joshua said earlier, it's like you know them by their fruits, and you know, like that the pastor behind us going into the courts instead of speaking to my husband and I, you know, and even telling the lawyer lies, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, how is that? You know them by their fruits, you know. And
Yeah.
even with the pastor that was baptizing me, like if he's going against his belief to do what his wife wanted him to do, how is he standing up for truth?
Yeah.
You know them by their fruits. So
What will be interesting going back to the people that just got the status of the 501 thing.
yeah,
Yes.
It's going to be interesting to see if how far they can push, like Shannon was saying, before they're slapped on the wrist. It could be a great guinea pig thing for everyone to sit back and watch.
well, we're kind of
Yeah.
seeing it with Israel Anderson because now he's sort of bringing up who is Jesus, you know, like
Yeah,
he's I think he's backpedaling somewhat, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah. You put yourself on in the target, and they're going to take some shots.
yeah, yeah.
It's just sad, you know.
I mean, we can only hope that they come out of it. You know, when I mean, there's got to be some event that happens in the near future that's going to wake a bunch of people up. And we
It
just,
breaks my heart. I think that his wife would listen to me because I had a 3-hour conversation and she was all interested. And she asked me to send her everything, and I sent her all of the videos of artists, and then she didn't watch any of them. And you know, she's believing in that be obedient to your husband, the Old Testament teaching, you know.
yeah,
So I'm sure Chris came home and she talked to him about it, and he shut it down instantly because she's not. This was a year ago. She's not asked me a single question since.
yeah,
And when I go to get my hair cut, I just keep it really light. You can't force this information on anyone. All you can do is be there and answer questions once you kind of put it out there. And
yeah.
so,
It's the
you
planting
know,
seeds, and then, like I say, in the near future, there's going to be some kind of event that anybody that's heard this, who really, really wants to know the Father, will remember what we said, you know,
I
or
hope
let's
so.
hope, right?
I
Hey,
mean,
Sal, don't disagree with her while you're in the chair, you know.
no, I don't. But she
She
told
might
me,
mess up the-
I just got my hair cut last week. And I mean, we do talk about some stuff. And I just got my hair cut last week. And she said to me, and I thought that this had already happened, but she's like, Chris is finally starting to understand that Trump is not who he's projecting himself. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I thought he realized that like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
You know? I said, so he's been following him this whole time? And, you know, it just shows where his indoctrination is and thinking is, you know?
yeah,
It's really, and again, I don't mean to be talking bad about them because I do love them. I really do. Um, I actually think she's got a better relationship with Father than he does. Because quite frankly, he's of Yahweh, you know?
Well, she's not up on the stage teaching lies.
No.
Is she? Does she get? Does she get to get up there too?
She doesn't talk, but she sang. She's an excellent singer. So, like, you know, in the beginning, they'd play, you know, a couple, 3, 4 worship songs, and she would sing.
Yeah.
But she doesn't preach or anything like that. No, she's very, very subservient to him.
I think that the seeds, going back to what you guys brought up, where Tim was using like logic with his presentation to kind of share with people, basically talk more on secular terms with people. It's crazy. I think you got to just keep probing. Well, you don't have to, but I'm just saying you have to kind of meet the audience. Some people believe it's Bible, and they're almost completely against science, and vice versa, or they think it's black or white. But it's crazy. It sounds like, I mean, if someone in the household could do it, it doesn't have to be the man, like you guys are saying. So, like, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, earlier, Alan, you was bringing up like how do we fight that? Um, they become 501c whatever,
Right.
and
501c3.
they you got so many people putting the lies out there. But it's the same way you put out fires with water. You same way Jesus conquered death with life. You know,
Yes.
instead of to repay evil with evil, we overcome it. So with lies, we keep doing our job. We doing we
That's
doing the
right.
right thing. We're telling the truth. That's all. And the
It,
truth is always so much more effective than the lies. That's the reason why they got so many lies out there. But then we got such a small group of truth, and it's still a battle. Like, we still in the game.
Yeah.
They should be
yes.
blowing us out by now. But
You're bringing up such good points. It's funny because I didn't really start studying and reading a lot of the verses for myself. Um, I'd say the last 4 or 5 years, maybe I really just dove into it. And people, my buddy, he's like, I've been studying this 20 something years, this, that. And I mean, he's indoctrinated for more, like he's been preaching it for that long. So I'm like, cool. You want to play verse for verse? I mean, if the Father's real and the truth is real, who's to say he can't make me as knowledgeable as you instantaneously if it's for his glory? So like you're saying I was coming off as arrogant. I'm like, we're all gifted different gifts. We're supposed to learn from each other and lift each other up. And he doubles down on the grace versus the works. And I was like, who do you believe? Who is your Messiah, Paul or Jesus? And I brought up Matthew 25:40, and I brought up basically the parable of the sheep and the goats to him. And it's like Jesus said, when I was hungry, you fed me. You didn't just send me off. When I was in prison, you visited me. And he's like, oh, that was for the Jews. I'm like, bro, like, what are you talking about, bro? It's right in front of you, red letters. He said it. You believe it or not? I mean, like, I'm not. This is not opinion. I'm basically saying, he's asking you to mirror his works. If you're a disciple of him, you're going to try to imitate him as best as you can. As much as we're going to fail, he wants you to do some works. Not just confess with your mouth. What's that going to do to help a homeless person or someone who's literally hungry? He gave you the exact example. I mean,
love is doing action, not just any woman can say she love you. She got to prove it. Any man can say he love you. You got to actually show with his actions.
It is action. It's action, and they want to take the action out of it to make easy converts to fill pews, and they buy right into it. That I'm not trying to down. Just like she loves her friend. We want the best for them. We're fighting for them as much as we're fighting for ourselves. And sorry to be long winded, but yeah, he brought it up with the water is the truth, and thank you for reminding me.
Of course, I wish I remember what. You did say something about science earlier.
Yeah, it's about logic and science. Some people only understand. They only understand it on their terms, whether it's double downing on verse or double down. Yeah,
it changes. It's like science is not one thing. I'm like, 1 + 1 is 2. That's universal, But to them, it's like that'll change. Like, no, because science. And it's like, what is science? What is an experiment? Experiment is observation. Sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. You're testing things out with those things right there. They actually refusing that what we actually are doing is science.
It is. They're separating it, and then the people, the people that double down on the spiritual side, they're rejecting that it is science as well. They do the other side of the coin. I said the parables let you understand human biology, psychology, sociology, how we interact with each other, how the mind works. There's levels of understanding, which is beautiful because on a superficial level, it's milk to a new Christian or a new believer. A new believer can get just as much of it on a superficial level if they live that for the rest of their life as someone who dives deep down a rabbit hole and finds many, many meanings in the same verse. So that's how I know it's from the Father, because it has strength based on the level of understanding. But they discount it. They're like, oh no, it's not psychology. It's pure spirit. It's what I'm like. What are you talking about, man? Anyway.
Some people get things faster than others. I'm not sure which is the case sometimes. But like when I was in school, I can sleep during the class, wake up, and get a couple of examples of what I was supposed to be doing, when the lesson comes out, and then and get it done. Whether I get a C, a B, or an A, and I get mixed results like that. But the thing is, I'll still overcome or pass the whatever
Yeah.
the test. And as some people could be paying attention the whole time, trying their best, and still get a C, a D, or a B, or a get the same results or worse. And when I remember that when I first got into Christianity, because I'm like, how am I understanding this better than the people that was here when I walked in?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
understand.
it's true. It's true. But
It's because the Father's, you're hearing the Father.
you are.
It's
You are.
coming with a more honest I'm genuine with the approach. While some people, I just want to look good. I'm not really here to change.
Yeah.
I want to put my money in the plate, and I want to do my good thing for the week.
Well, that's why all of us felt like awkward at church. We always felt there was something in our spirit that just wasn't right. And
It
at
was
least
too
I
superficial.
heard so many other people, like, it's just, I had to force myself to go to church. I can't remember one time going that I literally wanted to go. I just felt like I needed to go,
Exactly. But then now the passion comes out when you're going for the real reasons, like when you're there, not for that, not to look good,
Right.
but because you believe in what you're doing is better, is good, and now look, we're here on TikTok and we'll spend 4 or 5 hours on or 6, 7, 8 hours on a call. I think the last group call we did was literally probably almost 24 hours long, probably,
Wow.
like literally. Okay, maybe not 24. How long will you guys think?
You were on there till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we started, I think, at 10. So it was a long time.
About 11 hours, yeah. That's a long time. People went, did things, came back, grew a beard, had children. You know what I'm saying? Like, things got done, and we were still there.
Joshua, you have to join our Discord channel.
Okay.
It's are you on Discord?
No.
It's, you have to download the app first, but it's kind of like Telegram, sort of. And so when we're in the Discord channel, like a lot of times on Saturday, they have a voice chat, and all you do is just click the button and you join, and you can, like Tim said, you can come and go as you want. And we talk about everything. We discuss everything in there, and it's kind of like a format like tonight, but it's a little more impersonal, And
We talk about
say
things
what we
that
want.
get us thrown off of TikTok.
Oh yeah.
yeah, we can talk about things that we can't talk about on here.
Okay.
But
I'll definitely join. Yeah.
message one of us, and we can send you the link.
Okay.
If you
That
can
sounds
message
good.
like one of us on TikTok or whatever, yeah.
We call them a marathon chat because they last so long. So we're going to do one tomorrow, right, guys?
I would venture to guess it'll happen.
Yeah. Or Sunday. Or
I think I
both.
saw you, Shannon, last week. People were talking about it, and you're like, let's just jump in and see who joins. And it went for 14, 15 hours.
Yeah. I had to quit. I had to get some sleep.
Yeah.
It went on way longer.
Yeah, I was going to bed, and I was like setting my alarm or looking, I don't even know. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're still on. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Before I forget, Faye, I have that scripture, and what I was referring to is in the video tonight. Artist was showing pictures of the temple in Pompeii and in where they say it's not. And I said, look at all those stones upon stones. And then I was thinking about it. Even if you look in Jerusalem where they say that the temple is, there's stones on stones. But when you read Mark, it's Mark 13, verse 1, it says, now as Jesus was going out of the temple courts, one of his disciples said to him, Teacher, look at these tremendous stones and buildings. Jesus said to him, do you see these great buildings? Not one stone will be left on another. All will be torn down. And that's not Barabbas talking. That's Jesus Christ. It didn't happen. He said it would happen, and it didn't happen. Those buildings are still there. They're not in one piece, but it's not rubble, like just totally destroyed like he said it would be. That was my point.
That's a great point.
And it doesn't matter if you're looking in where artists pointed out it really happened, or if you look at the fake place in where they call Jerusalem today.
Mm-hmm.
The temple is still there. It's got the Dome of the Rock on it, but the temple is still there.
It's when I researched some of the sites just the last few years, her map was bringing up a lot of my memories, and I always question the ruins of like Ephesus and all these, all these sites that were supposed to be these very large metropolitan thing with all these numbers of people. I think geographically it's way too small. I call BS. Like it doesn't add up to me. It's never added up. I'm like, that's a lot going on in a little area. I mean, you have like one little ruin. If you do a search, it's pathetic. It looks like something was set up with cardboard for the tourist, basically.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it definitely looks a lot smaller than than they claimed it was.
Well, like artists pointed out in the video tonight, she said this was she showed that picture of the grassy area, and then she showed where they say the promised land is now. There's no grass there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she said help me remember the name of the place that got
Soras, or
no
where the cave was.
where Mount Vesuvius blew up and
Oh, Pompeii.
covered over.
Pompeii.
Yeah, Pompeii. She said that they said it was 5,000 people, but she showed us that it was not 5,000 people. It was 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they're even what they say, how many people were there, isn't even though it's in the Bible, it doesn't mean it's true.
That's right.
I
So-
agree.
So that kind of supports what you're saying, Joshua, that there was probably less people around than what they're saying.
I think the numbers are skewed like tremendously. Which goes. It's probably going to bring up subjects I should probably talk on the different format.
Yeah,
That's what,
Discord.
Our Discord's for.
Discourse. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of it doesn't add up, and if we just lean on our own understanding and just go logically, the numbers don't add up.
Yeah.
But
There's another thing right there, because they all, push I think it's Paul that said that, don't lean on your own understanding.
Mhm.
Yep.
They don't want you to use your logic. They don't want you to, think for yourself. They just want you to be indoctrinated into what they believe, and that's it.
It's true. It's fall in line, and there's a narrative there where as soon as it's questioned, you're the Antichrist. And then going back to what one of the videos I stumbled on, the other definition of anti is it could be like deputy, like the vicar, and
Yeah, like Christ-like.
Christ-like.
Life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Vice Christ.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Vice Christ, exactly.
Yeah.
Vice Chiron.
But no, that's you hit the nail on the head again. Because I wanted to bring that up earlier. How people are not, they don't trust themselves. They're lying to themselves. They want you to not trust your own senses.
Well,
They want you to say, "Well, Yahweh just looks evil." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
don't trust your eyes. And the horizon just looks flat.
yes,
The
exactly.
earth just feels like it's not moving.
He's a
Yeah.
good guy.
Again,
He just has
don't
horns
trust
on
your
his head.
senses. Yeah, they want you, and I hate to say it, it's making the population dumb.
Or
All by design. All by design. All by Yahweh's design. You know.
Yeah, because how you
Sadly.
solve your problems if you don't address the issues, and how do you address the issues if you don't even believe your own senses? If you don't believe that fire is coming, because you smell it, even when your eyes closed, you see it when your eyes are open. You feel the heat when they get close, but you keep on saying, "I only feel that. I only see that." Well, you're gonna be on fire.
yeah,
in Proverbs somewhere, I can't remember exactly where it is now, but it says the heart is treacherous, and who can who can know it?
Who can trust it or something?
Yeah, it's telling you to not trust
wicked.
your gut instinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just believe what we tell you.
Right.
So, do you guys believe that the Father is his words are woven through at all in the Old Testament?
No.
No.
I don't.
No.
Okay, well, I
I don't
was
think
so
there's
curious
a
to bring
lick
that
in the.
up. Yeah,
We think this is Yahweh's book, and the
uh,
only place that there's really anything in there for us is some warning, like of knowing what Yahweh's going to do through John, but also the red letter text. If you look at the character differences between the two Jesuses, you can find what Jesus Barabbas said, because the characters are so different. Like Jesus Barabbas would stop the two brothers from casting fire down from heaven, where the other one would throw out the demons, but cast the pigs into the water to drown. The Father wouldn't hurt anything. He doesn't have any darkness in him. So once you know his character, you can start to see who's who in the red letter text, and I think that's where the message is for us.
Some of the red letter texts we found Joshua is corrupted too, and so like the most accurate book that we have of the four gospels is John. We think that's that's where we see Jesus Barabbas' words the most. But
Yeah,
we're-
and John, they're trying to take and get rid of John. Just I don't know if you knew that or not, but they're trying to get rid of they're trying to get rid of it.
wow.
It's the most authentic, we think, of all of them, and we think that John is warning us. We think that he was one of Jesus's disciples, and he is warning us. I think a lot of Matthew, Mark, and Luke is there's a mixture. So each of us on the panel, we're going through one of the books, and we're trying to discern which is which, and it's like I'm doing Mark, and I found in Mark you can have one sentence is the Christ, and the next one is Barabbas. They've really done a masterful
and even
job.
one sentence can have the two of them speaking, because it's been split
That's
up.
what I
You
mean.
can tell.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really. I thought it would be a lot easier when we all agreed to do this and to look at it, and it is a lot harder when you're looking at it on paper, because we want to make sure we get it right. We don't want to,
Yeah, no, I understand, because you wouldn't want to mislead someone to double down on.
Exactly.
And that's it's I understand that. And one thing I think I heard on one of the videos was yeah, like you're saying, Jesus Barabbas, he speaks life. He speaks life. He doesn't speak death. He doesn't speak
That's right.
destruction. So there's one evidence of a fruit. You know,
Yeah.
it's a different nature. Or a different character.
Yeah.
But it takes time. It's a journey. As long as we keep waking up, we can keep searching.
Yeah. I think, like, we all sort of agree that, I mean, if we didn't find out anything new from this point on, if, nothing ever new came because something drastic happened in the world,
Hmm.
I think we have enough to go by to know the difference between the Father and the Christ. So, um,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, I'm thankful for that, and that whole thing, going back to what I brought up earlier. I mean, it could be completely overwhelming, or even where we all are. I think it could paralyze you if you allow it. I just try to wake up in gratitude and be kind to others and try to do the Father's will. That's all I can do. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I fail miserably daily, but I certainly try.
Yeah.
Well, we all do that. We're still in our human flesh suit, so we all have times where we fail,
Yes, yes,
and you learn from it and you do better next time, right?
of course,
That's right.
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
all we can do, But I try to do that too, and I just try to be loving and kind, and I try to drop hints and nuggets to people. I mean, I was trying to like really show people, and I mean, I got told I had blasphemy. I just like it went really bad. So now I'm trying to do it a little bit more slowly with people so it doesn't shock them as much.
I did it to my family. I kind of took them to the edge of the abyss and had them take a peek in, and it went really not good,
Yeah.
to say the least. And I prayed for the next level, and unfortunately, he said, "Don't do that to people." Is what he told me. They're not ready. You can't. You only can plant the seed.
Yeah.
You can water
And
it.
then, yep. And that's what I do now. I try to gently plant the seed and drop nuggets and, instead
Yeah.
of just kind of like, blurting it all out and giving it all at one time. Because it is to divulge all this at one time would be a lot on somebody who had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. It shakes people's complete
And
foundation.
It does. It does.
the more indoctrinated they are, the harder it is to get them to listen. So if you just barrage them with all this, they just shut down.
It's true. It's true. I mean, thankfully, I think as long as we keep learning from like swings and misses with that, I think like I'm kind of practicing with my buddy. Um, he thinks he's trying to win me over. I'm trying to win him over. We're both trying to help each other. Unfortunately, I think I don't think I know he worships the wrong guy. So
Yeah.
he,
I
by,
think,
by his own religion.
yeah. I think that's what you have too with the guys at work, don't you, Tim?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I had to. What'd you say?
Isn't that the experience that you're having with the guys at work that, they think that they're trying to teach you something and you think, you're trying to show them something and
Yeah, the thing is, they will try to use the Bible to back themselves up, and they don't know it.
yeah.
And I'll be like, what? Like, and they don't like not know it like a Christian not know it. They don't know it like an atheist don't know it. And I
Wow.
find it very insulting. I have to remind them, I'm like, bro, you know who you're talking to, right? It's kind of insulting. I'm like, bro, you said so many things wrong in that sentence, bro. But
Well, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people do enjoy going to church because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to pick up the Bible.
We can't hear you, Sally.
Yeah, they want to go and they just want to be told what to believe and then come home and do their whole week and then go to church on Sunday and be told what to believe. And, it's,
Yeah.
I think they think they're being very good people going to church and,
I think so too.
they don't
Yeah.
they don't see it at all. I think they're just, they probably think that we're terrible because we don't go.
yeah.
So,
I know I have a hard time explaining to people because I have told several people that I have a very strong faith and they're like, oh, well, religion are you? And or what church do you go to? And I'm like, I'm not a Christian. I just follow Jesus. It's all about. And they look at me like I'm got my head loose.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're
That's
not
true.
saying that everybody that goes to church are bad people.
No, they're
No,
not.
I
there's a
think
lot
there's
of good
tons of,
people. A lot of good
yeah,
people.
there's tons of fathers' children who are trapped in church,
Yeah.
Right.
and he wants to get them out of there. And we're playing our part to make that happen. Hopefully,
Yeah.
without beating them over the head. I mean, they have to come here and listen.
Well,
We're
that's the
not.
thing. We just got to pull them out.
I
We're
used
gonna
to.
come out.
I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and I would go knock on your door to bring you Yahweh every week. You know, some I even sold all my stuff and moved to moved to Mexico to save people down there and indoctrinate them into Yahweh.
Wow.
Um, but I thought I was doing the right thing, because there's lots of fathers' children down there, and they're
Well,
trapped and they're looking
you didn't
for
you didn't
for
know when you
something.
were
But
doing.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
didn't
when
know
you.
that at the time.
Yeah, I
I
was
know
gonna
that
say.
now.
Yeah, you didn't know that you were doing
Yeah.
wrong at the time you were doing it. So Father,
No, I did it with
Father,
a good heart.
yeah, exactly.
I think all of us chose to leave the church of our own free will at some point eventually, and the same thing that happened to the ones that's in the religion. You know, we were all there for a second and we left.
And I think more and more people are. I think more and more, as this realm continues and the stage show continues and everything that's happening, I think there are more and more people that are saying this doesn't make sense. Like something, like they're questioning, their
Yeah,
beliefs. And I mean, and that's how I think we're going to find more people because that's what happened with me. I'm like, this is not making sense. What is up? And just wanting the real
I
truth.
and
I
I
had,
think
go
I
ahead,
think
Shannon.
that. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that even uh, non-religious people that are on the political train right now, and with who's in power in the USA, I think they're learning real quick. Wait a minute, this isn't what he said he was going to do when he got into office. This it's not happening like they thought it would, and they're already asking questions, and they're asking what the heck is going on. So I think those people too will start, looking other places for answers
That
because they're not getting the answers they told they were going to get,
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I meant earlier when I said that there's going to be some kind of a big event that happens that people, are going to be questioning themselves and what's going on, and they might remember what we're saying, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's why, these all get put on YouTube, hopefully until
yeah,
the whole thing comes down. Those will be available for, later for people that
yeah,
aren't ready for it right now,
Hopefully, all the Christians that think that Trump is here to save us, something will happen with that, and we'll shake them to wake them up. That he's not who they think he is.
yeah,
Yeah. I think they're in for a rude awakening here
They
really
are.
quick.
They
When
are.
Jesus said, and Josh, I especially want to know your opinion on it. But when Jesus said, "Come out of her, my people," who is the her that he's talking about? Oh wait, I don't even think Jesus said that, but still, come
Well,
out of her.
it's Rome, which we're in right now. Babylon. We're in her. It never ended. We're it's extended through our where we are now. It's copy and paste.
I take it as religion.
Well, that's true. Well, yeah, but to me, the religion and the politics are inseparable. They're almost one and the
Oh
same.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Church and state. That's what the beast system is. You get
Yes.
beat down by the state. They beat you down so bad, you go looking for answers. You go to church.
Hmm. That's true. That's true. It's true. They're, it's one bird. It's one bird. Two wings of the same bird.
Yeah, and they put it on the dollar. In God we trust. Who is? I mean, it's. I mean that says a lot to me. And I'm guessing you heard me speak before in my views about how religion. None of them are solving the problems.
Oh no, no, no. They no, absolutely. The religion now are bending. They're backtracking now. They're lowering their standards and their policies just to not lose followers. They're accepting any and everything, any and everyone, all types of behavior.
Yeah, and like so, I'm just saying like they're not solving none of the. Like they're not healing the sick. They're not curing death. In fact, I think that religion is death. I think it's death worship. They all say, hey, let me show you my God. Come worship my God. And then on the back of the dollar bill, in God we trust. All the celebrities that worship Satan and do all these detestable things, they say, I want to thank God when they get these awards, when they get these materialistic things. They thank God for their lifestyle. And I'm supposed to be worshiping the same one?
Yeah, it's funny. As soon as I hear God, I'm like, which one? That's the first thing my inner self says. What God are we talking about? The God of fortune that has many names, the GAD God, Fortuna,
Yeah.
Satan, whatever you want to call him. It's the God of many names that gives the same thing, goes all the way back to the beginning.
There definitely is a lot of gods.
That exactly is it. That's why all the Christian music and the Christian worship, they're singing to their Father. They're singing to the Christ. That's why they're allowed to put stuff out.
They are the symbolism on all of the music is insane. If you look at country music, I can't unsee what I see. So,
Same
like,
here. Same
yeah,
here.
it is everywhere. They are not putting anyone on the stage unless they signed off with the enemy.
Yeah, that's.
It
I was just
100.
and I was just saying in the comment section where someone said that there's a lot of oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Faye. I read your comment wrong. You said some atheists know the Bible better than the Christians, and I thought you said some athletes. And then I said, yeah. And then I said, yeah. I bet you were wondering about that one, eh, guys? Yeah. I said, yeah, if they were, high up in the NFL or the NBA, etc., they have to know a lot about Yahweh because you have to kind of sign on just like Hollyweird, You have to sign on with them, so.
Yeah, they know too, though.
Yeah.
Especially the high.
The athletes know too, though. Having said that, Aileen.
Yeah.
But there's atheists that do know the Bible too.
And the athletes in the NFL, they're all following a script, literally.
Yes, I know.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a waste of time watching
I know.
the Super Bowl. It's all scripted.
Yeah.
It's all betting. That's it. Period. It's all money.
Yeah.
Josh, I think that's the cover up. They want you to think it's all money. Like they want you to think that they're trying to trick you into worshiping a different deity because of money. But think about that. How does that make sense? If I change my mind right here, right now,
Right.
are they making $1 off of it right now? You see, I don't think it's about money. It's about spirit. It's about making you worship an idol or a spirit that's not a father.
That's true. That's true. Like an idol is anything that you put above the Father, as we both know. So yeah, it could be making yourself a god in essence. You could idolize yourself through vanity, through, I have my own OnlyFans thing, and look at me, I'm making money. I'm someone important. Like I become my own god in essence, or I become a lover of the world or something in the world that basically has my heart and my spirit. So yeah, no, we're on the same page.
They excuse the behavior of a very famous person. Just because they're famous and they can sing or they can dance well or because they can play football well, basketball well, and they'll be like, they're excused. They'll look the other way if they unalive someone or
Yeah.
And it's like how? That's the same thing they do to Yahweh. They excuse his behavior too.
That's true. But it's a good point, and what it does to the people who are searching for an example, they become disciples in essence of those figures. Whoever, hey, that person's successful. They're a billionaire. I'm
Yeah,
going to do what
I'm a
they do.
Michael Jordan enthusiast. Yeah.
Yeah, and they say God blessed them. All right, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
Look, to show you how scripted it is, as an example, you remember who was on the Wheaties box in the 70s?
Yeah, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah. And look at what's happened with that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's all part of the script.
Yeah. It is.
I think they made him do all that.
Well, he was actually born a female, and then they made him a male, and then he reverted back to being a female. He's a double flip-flop, as they call it.
Oh wow.
Double flip flop.
That's what they call it. I went down that rabbit hole very, very deep. So he was actually born a biological woman, and then they made him a man, and then he wanted to go back to being a woman. But it is scripted because that all happened right around the time of the whole pride, transgender, all that kind of stuff. Pushing that and shoving it down our throats.
And I wonder how many people went and did the same thing he did because of who he is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It was all part of the agenda.
Yep.
It's someone has to be the catalyst to start a new whatever movement or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone has to be the punching bag.
Somebody has to be the catalyst.
Yeah.
We're already
like
at,
that.
I guess. That's what they
I
call
like
us.
that. That's a good one. But Shannon, going back to your testimony, what you shared earlier, you went down there with the greatest of intention, with sincerity in your heart to really help people, and I do admire that because at least your faith, you were devout in your faith, and you put action behind your heart and your intent,
That's
and you were sincere in it. So.
I agree because that's kind of like that pastor who, he basically gave in to his wife, because of what she believed instead of sticking to his guns about what he believed.
And let me tell you, when I got down there, and I was attending a Kingdom Hall that was used by a Spanish congregation as well. We shared the Kingdom Hall. And when I saw the dissent between the Spanish witnesses and the English-speaking witnesses sharing the same hall, and all the intrigue and all the fighting and everything, it helped wake me up to realize this is not God's organization. They say love this, love that. Those people were wicked.
Yeah.
And they did terrible things, and it really rocked me. And it rocked my faith. And that was probably the beginning of my actual waking up, was experiencing that. And then I was there for 2.5 years going through all that and dealing with all that. And then I got back into the States. And then 6 months later, COVID hit. So I can say, honestly, I can say the beginning of my waking up was going down there and doing that and seeing the soft white underbelly of the whole organization.
I think it's a blessing and it's beautiful, and you had time to come back and actually be away from it and actually reflect. So that sounds like a blessing upon blessings to me.
Oh, it was. It was the beginning of my journey, actually. And I don't regret it. I mean, I actually loved living in Mexico, and I loved the Mexican people. And the people that I was talking to were people that were, little babies when they got taken to the States by their parents. And they got in trouble with the law, and they found out that they weren't legal in the States, and they threw them out.
Oh, wow.
And these people did not know anything about Mexican culture. They were from L.A. or places like that, and they didn't even speak Spanish like they do in Mexico. So they were a pariah to the Mexican people. They hated them, and they were jealous of them because they got to go to the States for half of their life or whatever, however old they were when they got deported. And the locals were jealous of them because they got to go there and experience it. They didn't want anything to do with them. So they were an easy target for us because we spoke English, and they're like, oh, you're from the States. Oh, and then they didn't care about our message. They just wanted to talk to somebody who would talk to them and who didn't treat them like dirt.
Wow.
They were very nice people.
Shannon,
We,
I think Father got you out of there. You said you came back 6 months and then COVID hit. I think Father, was protecting you and got you out of there so you weren't stuck down there.
I agree.
yeah, you know what? I had a lot of friends that didn't leave, and they're still down there, witnesses
Oh,
that are still
yeah.
down there, but they're not trapped because they're U.S. citizens. They can leave anytime they want. They just can't afford to leave because they don't have enough Social Security or whatever to live in the States like they can live in Mexico. It's so cheap there.
Yeah.
Well, it was when I was there. I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah.
But they can
Right.
get out of there if they really want to. They're not illegal in the States unless they're running from the law, and some of them actually were. I found that out. That's what helped me wake up too. Some of them were on the run,
Wow.
and that's why they left the United States, because they were wanted, and they were criminals, but they were also Jehovah's Witnesses. They were running from the law.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
Mm.
Well, guys, I think what we're going to do tonight, because there's only a few comments, like Shannon said, he checked them out. There's only a few comments on the last video. We can just add those to next week, or sorry, next Tuesday. And I think we're going to call it for the night. But Josh, I do hope that you reach out to us, because we do have, you probably maybe already have all the PDFs. I'm not sure if you're on the list or not, but we do have PDFs, and again, we can send you the links for the Discord if you just contact
Yes.
us.
Yes. I will. I'll reach out.
Sounds good.
Come
You'll,
back on Tuesday. We're trying to do Tuesday and Friday at 7, so we would welcome you back, to come
Sure.
back and
I've
talk
seen
to
I've
us.
seen you in here a couple times. Seen your name on the
Yeah,
list.
I
Yeah.
was just peeking around. And I listened, and like I said, and I followed the links. I saw one of your posts elsewhere, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I just backtracked, and I saw a link to this, and then the database of your guys' videos and shorts and all that. So I was like, "Okay." So I sat at work and did my job and listened. I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad we're reaching some people. If we just keep going, it'll be more and more, I'm
Tim's
sure.
hungry. He's got to eat.
Exactly.
Oh, I was starving.
Well, I'm glad that you came here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Joshua.
Nice meeting you all as well.
Yeah, nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, guys.
We love everybody here and everybody in the Discord, and
Yeah.
look forward to talking to you all tomorrow.
And we love you, artists. I know that you'll be listening back tomorrow, or maybe you're
Yes,
doing it
artists.
tonight.
We love you,
Love
artist.
you.
Love you, artists. Love you all.
Talk to you later,
Nice to
guys.
meet you as well.
I
Joshua. I
will.
didn't know.
Good night.
Yeah, I'll be hanging on. You guys can carry on. I'll be hanging on to put the last post up. Okay.
All right. Night, y'all.
Night, guys.
Night.
Good night. I'm gonna use artist. She always used to say good night, John boy.
Yes, I know. Her and I are both Waltons and the Little
Yeah.
House on the Prairie fans.
We love you, Galanin.
Yeah. Good night, Shannon.
Bye.